Warning: the Dub Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Also, there will be spoilers for any and all anime series. If there is a series you haven't finished yet, please use caution. And finally, the opinions expressed belong to the participants in today's episode and do not reflect the Dub Talk podcast as a whole. Now that I've got that out of the way, today is my birthday and I feel like being a little selfish. So, what episode should we have? I'm not really in an action mood, so that's out, and I don't think I can handle something fan service-y today either. Maybe something with a little mystery? Yeah, I think that'll be good, but what show? Actually, why do I feel like I'm forgetting something? Something rather important. I think this is a job for the detective squad. I should give them a call and see if they can help me remember. Okay, guys, give me 15 seconds and I'll be right back. Then we'll have to... Greetings, gentle listeners, and welcome to Dub Talk, the podcast where a group of young detectives gather and solve the mystery of the latest and greatest in anime English dubs. My name is Stephanie, and tonight my colleagues and I have reunited from the Rampo Kitan episode to form the now titled Dub Talk Detective Squad. I'm joined by Jet, Gigi, and Andrew.
Elementary, my dear Kujo.
I am here tonight to help solve the mystery that is, how come the opening of the show sounds suspiciously just like Serario Days from Gurren Lagann?
That is not why we're here. You go sit in the corner.
I'm in a corner already. You can't stop me.
This is like, don't tell me how to live my life, bro.
I'm just here for the goth lollies.
Don't tell me how to live my life, bro. So what mystery awaits the detective squad tonight? Well, it's a long time coming, but we're here to discuss the English dub for the series Gosick, the 2011 series from Studio Bones, and one of the many mythical dubs of 2017.
Ayo.
Because let's face it, we have Hyoka, Anohana, Haikyuu. Dear God, what's going on with this year?
Actually, that kind of segues into my history with this particular show. Back when I first discovered anime on the internet and anime streaming, I remember explicitly 3 shows I first watched on Crunchyroll when I got, like, a smartphone. One of them was Working / Wagnaria, the other was Nichijou, and the third one was Gosick. So I watched this as a few days apart from when it premiered in Japan. So I watched this 6 years ago, and hearing this got dubbed again, this has been interesting revisiting the show to see if I think it still holds up or not.
My thing is I tried watching the show while it was on Crunchyroll years ago. The problem is it got removed from Crunchyroll because of the whole Bandai thing before I could finish it. So this is actually my first time watching the entire show. But anyway, if you haven't heard of this series before, Gosick takes place in 1924 in a small made-up European country of... God damn it, what's the name of this country?
Sabure?
Sabure. Yes. Sabure, because it's spelled very differently in this summary. The story centers around Kazuya Kujo, the third son of a Japanese imperial soldier who is a transfer student to St. Marguerite Academy, where urban legends and horror stories are all the rage. There he meets Victorique, a mysterious yet beautiful and brilliant girl who never comes to class and spends her days reading the entire content of the library or solving mysteries that even detectives can't solve. As always, we're going to be covering the cast of the series, mainly those relevant to the main storyline because there's way too many characters to keep track of. We'll cover the casting as well as our thoughts and feelings on the performances, giving a full review of this English dub.
we've gathered all the fragments of chaos, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then let's look into our wellspring of wisdom and unravel this mystery, starting with the ADR director, lead writer, and script writers. Script writers, plural, as in we have 2. So, I'm gonna go backwards with this because I have a story on the ADR director and it's gonna be fun. So, the script writers that we have attached to the series, we have Jessica Kavanaugh, who has written scripts for Sakura Quest Rampo Kitan, ironically enough, and Fuka. And we also have Nikki Schultz, who has written scripts for Castletown, Dandelion, New Game, and Overlord. The lead writer for this series is actually Josh Greeley. Now, the only other lead writer credit he has is for Overlord, but he has written scripts for Castletown, Dandelion, and even if there's an episode in the future for this, and I'm spoiling it, I don't care, because I saw this and it was funny as hell. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders.
What? Really?
Oh, wait, is he?
Legit.
I honestly didn't know he was doing Stardust Crusaders. Thank you for telling me.
Look, sexy Josh just got a whole lot sexier now that he's writing JoJo.
Alright. So, the ADR director. The ADR director might kill me by telling this story, but it's funny and I love it. So, back in February, this individual reached out to me, letting us know that they liked what we were doing with the podcast. They've been watching it, and this person was actually one of the first ones where we were really like, oh crap, voice actors are watching our stuff. And while I was having these early conversations with this individual, they just casually mentioned, you know, I believe I have a home video release coming up that I'm directing that should be announced soon. I hope you guys get to talk about it. So, of course, I tell everybody else in the main chat, and it gets set on fire with speculation.
Oh, yeah, no. When we get to...
I remember this.
Surprise!
When we get to conspiracy
Surprise,
theories, we go
surprise.
fucking nuts.
It goes great. So, I think it wasn't even a week later after this. It was at least a couple of days. Funimation posts on their Twitter that they haven't announced it, that they're gonna be that they wanted a tease for, and they were gonna announce it the next day. Their teaser, and if you are familiar with the art style of this show, is a very close-up picture of Victorique, just the lower part of her face, and she's holding the pipe towards her mouth. Okay?
Mhm.
So, of course, because of the conversation I had with this individual, the chat gets set on fire again. And we're like, oh my god, is this person directing Gosick? So, the next day happens, we learn that Funimation has acquired the license for Gosick. We don't have a cast list at that point. I go to this individual, and because I know NDA non-disclosure is a thing, I wasn't gonna outright ask this person.
But you were gonna damn well try.
I was gonna do it in...
Steph has been being
gonna
the biggest tease all day with all of this stuff that's going on.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there
All
yet.
right.
So I go to this person, and I say to them, if this is the show you were talking about the other day, bravo to you. Thank you for setting the chat on fire twice. The response I get from this person, they decide to play ignorant, play dumb, and tell me they don't know what I'm talking about. However, the way they do this is by also posting Victory gifts, and lots of them. Like the troll that this person is. And then ever since then, there have been a few occasions where where this person has asked me when we're going to talk about it, because they really loved working on this show and really wanted to see us talk about it. I think the man has been patient long enough. The man has been patient long enough. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. I think we have to end this episode. Bye, guys.
Bye. Love your faces. We're done, right?
We're here! We're doing this! Say the name!
So, the ADR director of Gosick, and I think this is the first time I'm gonna mention this too, and also one of our honorary Dub Talk members is Mr. Clifford Chapin.
Oh, right, yeah.
This bastard.
This name sounds familiar to me. I'm not sure if we've ever done anything of his, or, I don't know. He's probably okay, I guess. Who knows?
God damn it. So if you haven't seen anything that Clifford Chapin has directed before, he has been the director for series such as Alison's Oroku Planetarian and the first half of Yona of the Dawn. So starting off, how do we feel about the directing and writing of this series?
Alright, there's a couple ways I could go with this. I'll say for the most part, I think the script is pretty solid. Uses a lot of variations of other languages, European history, and all that, but it's a pretty straightforward mystery script. I like a lot of the character interactions, dynamics, and of what little I remembered of the show from 6 years ago, it all seemed pretty accurate and on point in terms of characterization. Yeah. As far as directing, there's a lot of interesting performances throughout, and some hit, some not so much, but all in all, there's a lot of interesting choices that were made, and whether or not I think or we all think they worked, I'm genuinely kind of intrigued and impressed at how this sort of came about. Like, this isn't a list of actors I usually all see on the same project, and I respect that.
Alright, who wants to go next with their thoughts?
So I've generally liked Clifford Chapin's work as a director, and while he hasn't always gotten to work on the best stuff, looking at you, Divine Gate.
Don't remind me. Pain and
Okay,
misery.
don't worry about it, Seth. We suffered through that together.
We suffer together.
We endured.
We have like PTSD over Divine Gate. It's great. It's not your fault, Cliff. It's the show's fault.
Okay, so even putting aside everything with that show, I think this is easily the best thing he's ever done, and I was really impressed at everything here turned out.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate how wide of a net he spread with all the casting choices, getting Funimation regulars, Houston folks, Cali people, and even a New York voice actor. And while I might have a nitpick or two, I can happily say that just about every performance here felt pretty spot on, and it all came together like a really polished product. I also really like the script. Jock Skrill's track record has also generally been pretty solid, and I really dug how he gave this one a lot of pros to match the time period and going a little too overboard with that, and it really kind of helped to draw me into the atmosphere of the show. So overall, I have no problems with the show on either of these accounts, and I'm really happy with how everything turned out, so kudos to these two gentlemen on their fine work.
Okay. Gigi, did you want to go next?
Do you really want me to?
Yes.
It's okay, Gigi. We talked about this.
We did. We've had many discussions about this show before recording.
Yup.
I guess my biggest problem with the writing in this show is that some of the episodes, they feel like they're very heavy with period dialogue. And I mean like time period dialogue. Like the prose and everything is very prosy. It's very 1920s. While other episodes don't sound that way at all. And they sound like they were just recorded last week. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like there's one episode in the middle, I think it's episode 12, that felt like a filler episode where
they're just
where
sort of in the
Gothali's up in
summer.
the tree. Yeah, where Gothali's up in the tree. And that episode, every word out of every character's mouth felt very, very period to me. But then some of the earlier episodes and some of the later episodes, they didn't feel like they had that kind of sense of time in them, like that old, you can tell the time period sense from it. So I was kind of confused by the writing in that sense. Other than that, I don't know if it was the different writers on the staff that made it kind of confusing to switch the tones all the time, because there are filler episodes and they're funny and cute, and then there's like scenes like the Christmas party that's super funny and cute, and then you have something in the same episode that like flips everything on its butt and turns it around. So the tonal shifts I felt like kind of thrown out of my element, but that's not the writing in the English. It's not the English
That's the
writing's
show
fault.
itself.
It's the show
it's the
itself,
show.
which don't even get me started. But
We're not here to
we
talk
got
here to
2
talk about the
hours
show.
to talk about the show. It's fine.
we're not here
We're not
to
here to
talk about the show.
Gigi, stop it.
So for directing wise, Props to Cliff. Props to Cliff for getting actors from all over the country to voice characters in this anime. Some of the casting choices I think really, really worked. And in my opinion, some of the casting choices really, really bombed. Not due to acting ability or anything, just me. I feel that he put a lot of work into this. I feel that with all the characters and having such a big cast, you kind of have to put a lot of work into this. And I'd read on Twitter that he'd been working on this for a year, and I was like, holy crap, like that is such a long time to work on one show. But with a show like this that's very period and has a lot of dialogue and has like a mystery to unravel, like I'm really happy with all the work that he put in, because this could have been a throwaway. It could have been a throwaway. Funimation could have not had faith in it, and they could have given it a Betrayal Knows My Name release, but we won't get into that.
We're not
talking about that. I'm curious as to a lot of things, but most of it has to do with the show itself and has nothing to do with the dub, the directing, the writing, or the acting. I think he did a solid job for what he was given, but my one thing that I have, and you knew that I was gonna say it.
Oh no!
Here it comes, because this is Gigi, and we're gonna talk about accents.
Okay.
I was watching a review.
It's Royal Tutor over again.
I was watching like a review before. I was watching Arcada's review, Glass Reflections review, before we did this episode, and he had brought up a good point. If this were to ever get an English dub, because he made that review years ago, that it would be a good place to show off a bunch of different European accents. And you know me, I don't like accents in anything. If one person gets an accent, everybody has to get an accent. So good on you there, because no one has an accent. However, everybody who pronounces Cujo's name has it with a soft J sound. So it has like the French hint of an accent. So instead of Cujo, it's Cujo. And I wonder why that choice was made. And
that's the one thing I forgot to
Did you forget to ask that? Oh, I did this segue so well.
It would have segued so well. Sorry.
I was setting you up for that segue.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, but that was my thing. And I know that this is a made up European country, but they speak French. And the writing is all in French. And sometimes when they're trying to speak French words, they speak them with the French accents. So I want to know why Cujo has a soft J sound.
I'm dumb. I forgot
that
to
seems
ask
like
that
a
question.
Seems like a minor thing that I genuinely didn't notice, but
it honestly bothered me through the whole thing. It's like the Sacher Torta thing.
Okay.
I mean, that's just you being very nitpicky about pronunciation.
I'm sure there was a decision, or like, here's another thing.
I feel like this would be a good platform to do accents, and there were no accents. But I hate accents, so that's fine with me.
Okay, so just to reiterate, you hate accents in anime, but you thought this would have been a good show to have accents in. But you hate accents, so you're glad there's no accents, but you're a little annoyed that there also are no accents, which you hate?
No, I'm not annoyed. Everything except that last part. I'm not annoyed that there are no accents. I just want to know why there's one word that has an accent.
Okay. Good to know. All right.
Oh my god.
I just set you up for a segue. Now you have to delete like half of that.
It's fine. We're good.
No.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Steph, how you doing?
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Maybe I'll get an answer after this episode goes up. Sweet deal.
I don't mean to be nitpicky. It bothered me through the whole thing, and I wanted to know why.
No, it's totally fine.
I mean, it's
no, but I feel bad because
there's...
we all know that people like to point out things that I say, certain things in certain words.
Oh, let's not talk about that.
I'm not. I'm done. I really like the direction, mostly, except for casting choices.
Look, just know, Gigi, we are your friends, and we will bust your balls whenever we feel like, but we will be the first to defend you from anybody that tries to give you shit. Remember that.
You do you. You do you.
I'm done.
So, my thoughts on the directing and writing. Now that Gigi actually says it with the writing, I I didn't notice it before, but now that you say it, I can kind of see what you're talking about with some of the episodes, like having writing that's more like a period style writing, and then some episodes where it kind of loses that. But overall, the writing, I thought it was phenomenal. I mean, again, this is my first real watch through of the show, unlike Andrew, so I don't have I don't really have the full Japanese to fall back on and see how faithful it is, but I'm gonna assume it's very faithful, because reasons. And then on the directing front, I think when we all saw the cast list when the cast list was announced back in February, we were very, very surprised at what was going on with this cast. So, like everyone else is saying, props to you, Cliff, for going, like, spreading a wide net, casting at wide net, and going all out with this. Because I was actually, a little bit earlier today, I was asking a few questions to him, and seeing if he could give some insight as to some of these things. And in terms of the casting, he had mentioned to me that he was fully aware of how important this show was. Not only because of the fan base and people liking it, but the fact that this show had never been dubbed before. So he wanted to do right by it, and so he basically cast this wide net. He got auditions from all over the place, and as we keep going with this cast, we're going to be seeing some of those choices come in, and we're going to be having some fun talking about them. So I fully, in this case, I fully agree with Jet. I think this is probably one of the strongest shows that I have seen Clifford direct. And for me, that's saying something, coming from someone who has basically watched every single thing that he's directed that's been released this year and have enjoyed every single one. This one is probably my favorite so far, and I know he very much enjoyed working on the show, and he wanted to put a lot of tender loving care into it just to make it right. So good on you for doing that. And yeah, any other thoughts on the directing and writing before we move on?
I don't want to say that this is my favorite thing that he's directed this year. There's one or two others that I'm personally more passionate and impressed by.
Oh, this is mostly my favorite because okay, sorry.
But I was going to say, thank you. I was going to say this is absolutely, of the things that have come out that he's directed this year, his most ambitious project, bar none.
Yes.
It's
for
really,
sure.
really interesting,
Absolutely.
and I'm genuinely impressed. Like, I think sometimes, like, we complain about, like, typecasting or certain things, like, being safe or whatnot. There's so many weird, odd things in the show that aren't safe or just completely different in terms of casting, where it's like, it's the kind of thing where it's like, I could nitpick about things I didn't like about this show, but even then, I still genuinely respect, like, the decisions that were made, because I wouldn't see this. Also, the benefit that this wasn't a simul-dub, that you really could do more with it, that I genuinely respect. So, yeah.
What I was trying to say a second ago when I was being mean to Andrew and interrupting him. The only big reason why I think this is probably my favorite thing that he's directed this year is because I am biased as all hell, and I like my mystery, okay?
That's totally fine.
I like mystery and horror is my jam. If you don't know me by now, then we got a problem. Any other thoughts before we move on and start talking about our characters?
Oh yeah, we got a lot to cover. I just want to say,
there's quite a bit to go through.
At some point, we should probably just, like, because we're probably going to mention a couple of notes that Clifford has given us at some point. We should just start making up things that he's clearly said to us. Wow, it's amazing that Clifford Chapin, the actor for Bakugo, has said that Deku is the best character in all of My Hero Academia, and he deserves, and I quote, all of the bitches.
Oh.
Dude, Cliff, I hope you fight Andrew hardcore on that one.
Deku for life, fucking fight me, fam.
Fuck you.
Fuck
you, fight me. I hope Clifford bitches at you. Okay. So moving on to the characters. Again, like I said in the beginning, we're going to be really sticking to plot relevant characters, because there's a lot of different little mysteries that take up like 2, maybe 3 episodes at a time. I ended up getting rid of a lot of them and really just tried to stick with the ones that would be relevant for the main storyline. The first 4 we're going to talk about, these individuals we meet after the Phantasmagoria, and Cujo and Victorique are on the train ride back to St. Marguerite Academy. This is...
Let's
Well-
call it Diet Pussyfoot.
What?
The flying pussy
No,
from
no,
Bakano.
not-
I've still
Flying
never
pussy-
seen
Not the
Bakano.
yeah.
You need
okay.
to fix that.
Not
You need to
okay.
fix that,
Listen,
first
listen.
of all.
Not flying pussyfoot. Diet Pussyfoot, aka Pussyfoot
No, I was
Light.
trying to get Gigi to get the reference, but she's never seen Bakano, so that flew over her head. So the first 4 characters we're going to be talking about, these 4, basically the story of this is they're on the train, they're headed back to the academy, and there is, throughout the course of the show, there is this memento box that 2 sides are fighting for, the Academy of Science and the Ministry of the Occult. So we have the Scarecrow, the Orphan, who are on the side of the Academy of Science. And we have the Knight and the Lumberjack, who are in line with the Ministry of the Occult. And basically the main story of that episode is they're fighting for this memento box. And Victorique and Cujo just basically magically become involved because of reasons. So, I'm gonna work backwards with this. The Lumberjack is being voiced by Mr. Seth MacGill, who has been in series such as Dance with Devils, Prince of Stride, and Shona Maid. Chris Rager voices the Knight, who has been in series such as Aka 13, Maria the Virgin Witch, and Toriko. Amanda Lee is the voice of the Orphan, and she has been in series such as Show by Rock and Rio Rainbow Gate. She's actually still relatively new. And here's the fun one. Because on Twitter, I think when the second half of the show was released on home video, Cliff himself was like, I'm interested, like, publicly, he's like, I really am curious to see what kind of guessing game for the Scarecrow will happen for. So,
Do we get to give our guesses now?
Oh, balls.
I want you guys to guess who you think the Scarecrow is.
Felicia Angel, because that was the single credit name in that episode.
My guess was is Rachel Robinson, because it sounds a lot like Rachel Robinson.
Okay.
And I don't know girls, so my guess was Cliff's mom or someone's mom.
God damn
or
it.
relative or girlfriend, wife. Somebody who's not a real voice actor was
Their
my
pet
guess.
corgi.
Their pet
No,
corgi.
I thought it would be funny.
Pomeranians.
The Pomeranian choir.
All right.
No.
Where you going?
So here's the thing.
Did he tell you?
He couldn't tell me.
Okay.
So this was actually one of the first things I asked him about, because because Andrew brought up the fact that Felicia is credited in the episode along with these other 3 characters. And then I thought it was Rachel Robinson, and last night when I was prepping this a bit more, under ANN, Rachel Robinson is uncredited for the Scarecrow. It's neither of them.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Cliff couldn't tell me who plays the Scarecrow, because the actress asked not to be credited, as well as union guidelines.
Oh.
So we
Okay.
do not know who voices the Scarecrow. What I do know, and what Cliff was willing to tell me, is that we actually have talked about this person before in a previous episode. And that she is very well known for voice acting not only in anime, but in American animation as well.
Okay, that gives me 2 guesses.
That's all
Noah?
I know.
Noah?
That's all I know.
Okay, that routes
all I
it
know,
out to
and-
literally everyone we've ever fucking talked about. I'm going to guess Carrie Walgreen.
Okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna go ahead and say Carrie Walgren too. That was my guess.
My mind immediately went to Laura Bailey.
That does not.
Actually.
That was not Laura Bailey. It was like a
To
minute.
be fair,
That was not.
To be fair, I think I watched that episode last week, and my brain is partially dead right now. So, for the sake, out of respect and for the sake of the voice actors involved, we obviously are not going to be talking about the voice actors in question. So what I'm just going to do is refer to her as the actress that shall not be named.
We wasted your time with the suspense. It's still a mystery. Try and solve it, champs.
Let's go! So, now that we know who our 4 actors are / mystery person, how do we feel about these performances? I know this is probably going to be a really brief section.
I liked Chris Rager. Too bad he died. I like Amanda Lee. Too bad she died.
Too bad she died.
Seth MacGill was neat. I guess he lived and he won an umbilical cord. Good for him.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so as far as these characters go, they were just kind of there to die, I guess. I thought the orphan was cute, so I really.
She was very cute. I was extra sad she died. And I like Amanda Lee. I want to hear her in more things.
Yeah, I thought all of these performances were very nice. I slightly wish we got to see Seth MacGill's character since he is the one that lived, and it only because there are a few other characters who you would think would just belong to 2 or 3 episodes in a little story, but no.
I'm surprised he's not a crying wolf, or was not established as a crying wolf. He looked exact. Wait, hang on. Are they called crying wolves or wait, something wolves?
Gray wolf.
Gray
Wolves.
wolves. Why did I think crying? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, he was a blonde, so he could have also been a gray wolf, though they didn't establish that.
True.
But that's another thing.
True facts.
Anyways,
True
moving on.
facts.
Who's next?
So no, hold on. I gotta talk about my girl Amelie, who.
I was say, any other thoughts before we move on?
Yeah. So first of all, I got cock-blocked by my inability to read again.
Oh no!
Because
really?
I thought the scarecrow was the orphan. So I'm sitting there trying to figure it out, and here's the coolest thing that I could muster. I thought this was Jamie Markey doing a really great job to not sound like Jamie Markey. Nope.
Good job.
You know,
I heard Jamie Markey a little bit in her voice. I fucking loved it. Like, I wish I could hear more stuff that she's been in. I hope she does more stuff. And I love her.
Yeah.
I love her covers. Like,
everybody
I
does.
think
She
this is
has
the
over
first-
1 million subs.
I'm about to say I've never heard any of her covers before, but I think now that I say that, it's gonna change because Gigi's gonna flip her shit.
She will.
Chris Rager was funny. Seth MacGill was normal, but he was a dick. And the scarecrow I obviously thought was Cliff's mom, so I fail.
And the orphan girl shot a gun to my heart, and also to her everything. Also to bomb explosives, because that was a cool sequence, I guess.
So moving on, the next 4 characters, they are pretty relative to the storyline very early on because they are from Victorique's, not necessarily hometown, but her mother's hometown.
Her heritage, if you will. Her
Heritage.
birthright.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the correct phrasing. So we have Mildred, who initially Cujo and Victorique meet her back in town, and she is a nun. Lo and behold, she was born and raised in this village, and she ends up going back to that village conveniently and coincidentally at the same time as Cujo and Victorique. We have Headman Sergius, who of course is the headman of this village or kingdom. We have Ambrose, who is part of this village as well, and he's kind of a relatively decent-sized character for this little storyline going on. And we have Harmenia, who is a maid and works for the headman, and we have spoiler warnings for a reason. So
Harmenia is the most innocent person you'll ever meet. So innocent.
Shut up, you fucking liar.
Nothing.
I don't remember who this is.
She's the crazy bitch. The crazy bitch. She's the crazy bitch. Okay, the crazy maid. Here's the thing. So, Victorique's mother, Cordelia, whom we'll talk about later on, she is exiled from the village for supposedly murdering the headman. It wasn't Cordelia who murdered the headman. It was Harmenia.
Gosh.
Oh.
Who could have foreseen
Ta-da.
such an outcome? I'm shocked to find
Ta-da.
gambling in Casablanca.
What? Anyway,
What?
the
It's the whole-
individual...
That was a reference very few people are going to get.
That's the whole thing.
Because
from
even
Casablanca.
I, who went to film school for a year, still refer to Casablanca as the movie with a plane.
That's great. I've never seen Casablanca and I've been meaning to for forever. Anyway, the individuals voicing these characters, Michelle Rojas is the voice of Mildred, who has been in series such as Assassination Classroom, Kiss Him Not Me, and New Game. Our Bruce Elliott plays our Headman, who has been in Case Closed, Sergeant Frog, and Drifters. Surprise, motherfucker! We have Lucian Dodge as Ambrose, who has been in series such as Fate Zero, Sailor Moon, and Charlotte. And Colleen Clunkybeard is the voice of Herminia, who has been in series such as Danganronpa 3, Drifters, and Garo, the animation. For Colleen, I tried to pick some crazy bitches.
So Brothers
Let's face
Conflict
it,
wasn't
these
crazy enough?
Brothers Conflict wasn't crazy enough. Anyways,
Crazy as in mental, okay?
I know.
All right, who wants to go first with their thoughts?
I will go first.
All right.
Michelle Rojas plays the hottest nun who's not really a nun, but... Also, did she actually grow up in that village? I thought she was just sort of like a police informant for Drill Hair. His name escapes me.
Ooh. Shoot, Grayville? Oh, damn.
Yeah,
You're right. I forgot she's also a police informant. I want to say it was both.
we'll see. She wasn't
forget.
blonde, so I didn't think she was raised there. I thought she was just visiting.
Well, to be fair, there is another red-headed character we're going to talk about.
You're right. Okay, you're right.
To be
we'll
fair.
get to that.
To be
Anyways, back to my
fair.
thoughts. Michelle Rojas, I think, does a really good job at playing like the most I don't give a fuck nun girl ever, but she's pretty cool and she's spunky and I like her and she cleans up very nicely. Our Bruce Elliott, he does a very good job at being the old wise elder man, and he does a really good job as being the creepy love tester man from God himself. I described it as the Jesus love test machine is what he was. Is like, because basically,
Oh my God.
the two of them.
He's the one who gave the prophecy to
'Cause
both
both of them-
Cujo and
Yeah, the
Victory.
crazy fortune
Because
teller.
both of them ask,
Yes.
will we be together forever? Like the dumb little people who don't realize they're totally in love with each other. Is like, there will be a great wind, but your hearts will
Yes.
always be as one. Anyways, thank you for coming. That'll be $3.50.
It's very true.
As for Ambrose, goddamn, Lucian Dodge is so fucking good every time I hear him. He doesn't get much to do in this quote-unquote mystery. He does a much better job in Danganronpa V3. Won't be the last time I bring that up, by the way. But I like the fact that
Lord,
Lucian
of course
Dodge
not.
gets a chance to do things in a Funimation dub. He has a very good voice. He does a really good job sounding like the innocent, pure boy who can do no wrong. And he got out of the village and we never see him again except the last episode where he realizes he's tripping balls in the fairy tale books waving goodbye at him.
That's so funny. I like that scene. I was like, what the fuck did he take? What kind of drugs is he on right now?
Fucking opium fucks your shit, man. Anyways, speaking of fucking your shit up, Colleen Clinkenbeard is the single... Okay, there's a couple of mysteries in this show.
Segue.
Some of them are better than others. This is the one where it's straight up... You know it as soon as you see this character. It's
Yes.
so, like, some of them, they try to be mysterious. This one, first thing you see this character, they're screaming and being like, the sins have come to cleanse me. Like, bitch, just turn yourself in already. Fuck.
Yeah.
Also,
Bitch is nuts.
also, how does she take, not being executed? I'm gonna run away. Also, I'm gonna light this town on fire, I guess.
Because the bitch is insane.
Okay.
We've established
Colleen
this.
does
She's
a good
fucking
job at
lost
being
it.
insane and crazy, but literally, that's the only thing that's interesting about this character is that she's insane and crazy.
Oh my god. All right, who wants to go next?
I mean, okay, so as far as Michelle Rojas goes as Mildred, I liked her fine. I thought Mildred was pretty interesting as far as the whole, like, spy angle went. Our Bruce Elliott as the headsman, well, he does the whole, like, wise elder thing pretty well, and he did that pretty well here. And I really liked the whole prophecy bit. I thought the way he hammed that up was hilarious.
That was kind of funny.
Okay, and then as far as Lucian Dodge goes, I mean, I like most everything Lucian Dodge has done, so I was pretty happy with how he did here, and I thought he did a good job of making Amber sound kind of like innocent and naive. Someone just give this man a lead role, like, please, seriously.
This is Jet. Hashtag Lucian Dodge as lead 2017.
I've been on this crusade for like 5 years now.
You should play the Danganronpa games. He plays a fat otaku. It's the greatest.
Oh, wait. Was he?
He's Hifumi in the games, and
I forgot about
in
that.
Danganronpa V3, he is the best.
I only know him as Kibo.
He is my robot son! I love Kibo! He's my robot son!
Kibo is adorable! I love Kibo, he's adorable! Ah!
I'll say this,
Sorry.
that is a better mystery than this entire story arc. Okay.
And then for Colleen Klingenbeard as Harmedia, like Andrew already said, like, the second you look at this chick, you know she's guilty, like, there's no way you can mistake that. So Colin Klingenbeard did a good job of sounding Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I guess. And, like, I thought her whole, like, reason for, like, being crazy was kind of interesting.
I want to live forever. I'm gonna murder a man.
Going to die at 26, that might make you go crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Oh, that was her?
Yeah.
That was her.
What the fuck did you think was gonna happen?
The reason why, just for context for people, the reason why Herminia commits the murder of the headman several years ago and it frames Cordelia, she received a prophecy stating that she wasn't going to live past, it was 25 or 26. 26. So, she in her brain, she figured if I kill the headman, I'll be safe. And, bitch falls off a goddamn bridge.
But you see, Herminia is the nicest, sweetest person. Just every now and then she screams.
Oh, who are
she
you
screams
kidding?
at night
Who
terrors
are you
and then
kidding?
chants to the devil. You know, the sweetest person. Who the fuck you fooling?
Okay, anyway, Gigi, how do you feel about these performances?
Now
that you know who Herminia is.
Well, full disclosure, I noped out of this arc completely as soon as one person opened their mouth. But I remember the old creepy fortune teller guy because he was in a lot of flashbacks. He was significantly creepy, so good for that guy. Michelle Rojas, I don't remember at all. Colleen, I vaguely remember now that you're saying that she was the crazy girl who wanted to live past 26. Because I was like, life goals, girl. Hashtag life goals.
I mean, I still have another month before I turn 27. I'm hoping to live past 26 too, and I feel you.
Look, when you
Are you
get your
gonna jump off a cliff?
No, I'm. Oh my god.
Look, when you get past your 20s, you just want your life to be pretty lit, you know?
You know what?
Fuck me. All right. So before
And the zinger, guys.
before I quickly touch on this Lucian Dodge kid plays the blonde kid, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Not the little kid who's a street rat, but the other blonde kid.
We'll get to that.
This is when I noped out. I'm sorry,
Really?
everyone involved. He sounded like a robot, and I couldn't take it. And that was the point where I was like,
Huh.
I don't know what's going on, and I'm gonna
we
wait
need to find
for
you some
something to
things
happen.
of his you'll like, because they exist.
There are
Was he in Hunter x Hunter? That's the big question.
well, here's my thing. It has nothing to do with acting ability. Some voice actors, to me personally, have a voice that I don't care for. His acting ability was fine. This I would like to call the Cynthia Martinez effect, which this episode has gone up before this one. I know it will. Where if you sound like a robot, there's some kind of twinge in a voice that makes it sound very strange and robotic to me, and I just personally, I don't like it. And unfortunately, it was this character. And after that, I was just like, I'm going to wait for something cool to happen. And luckily, that cool thing was Cordelia. So.
Man, the choice of words for sounding like a robot after I praised him for being my robot son is
Kibo.
amazing.
That's fun.
Oh, does he actually play a robot?
He actually plays a
Yes.
robot in the new Danganronpa.
Yes.
Does he sound like
character
this?
is a robot.
He's a very
Kibo's
good
character is a
boy.
robot.
He actually sounds really good in it too, by the way.
As this being the only named role I think I've ever heard him in, I can't say anything for any other roles because I don't remember, or I just haven't straight up heard them.
Okay.
Have you watched Fate Zero?
Hell no.
Okay, damn.
He's just not a character she cares about. We need to find
I'm about to
something
say,
with
'cause if
characters she cares about.
I'm about to say, because if she's seen Fate Zero, fucking Weaver.
Gigi, quit being robophobic.
You know I don't like robots.
She would be a terrible character in Danganronpa if there was a Kibo there.
Kibo, please
he
don't
would be
bully.
so
Please don't
bad.
bully my robot son. But yeah, no, it's cool. You just didn't like his delivery for that particular
Yeah,
character. It's
I mean,
fine.
I mean, the acting was okay. I couldn't.
The voice wasn't what you were thinking.
Yes, bingo.
Okay.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Sum it up right there.
Case closed.
God damn it. This isn't the right show. Even though Arbor Elliott was in that show. Anyway.
Do you think more seasons of Case Closed are going to get dubbed by
Never.
Funimation?
Oh
Never.
my god.
Fucking never.
Do not open
Here comes
that
Hardy
can
with
of
his
worms.
knife.
Do not open that can of worms, you fucking bastard. Get out.
Bye.
Okay.
I've been waiting for that all night.
No, you have to stay because we need to talk about your best boy.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm here. Go
So
ahead.
you
Sorry,
need to
go ahead.
stay. You're not going home yet. All right. So, I think between these four characters, I actually enjoyed them all. I mean, at this point, I've heard Colleen be crazy as all get out. So, hearing her doing it more, what's the right way to put it? I think there was a lot more urgency and maybe like. Maybe schizophrenic is the correct term to use here to describe this type of crazy. But yeah, it worked really nicely. Arbor Elliott, I'll agree that the prophecy was funny. I loved it. And for a headman who not only cares about his village, but wants to keep the traditions of his village or kingdom and very, very sheltered, mind you, it works really, really well. And then, let's see, Michelle as Mildred is a fun one. I've been enjoying Michelle Rojas more and more lately. It's definitely a fun one. Lucian Dodge is obviously the surprise one here, because I don't... somebody else might remember this better than I do. I don't recall Lucian Dodge being in a Funimation dub.
I don't either.
That's pretty awesome, for one. I can slightly agree with Gigi. I think starting out with the performance for Ambrose, the voice wasn't what I imagined it to be. But by the end of that little arc, I actually grew into it and I enjoyed it a lot more. And Ambrose is a sweet, innocent child. Okay? Please don't ruin his hopes and dreams for the world.
Gigi, no bully my robot son.
He's not a robot son in this case. I'm talking about Ambrose. Don't ruin his hopes and dreams. God damn it. Because all he wants
has
is to
acid
just get
fever
out there.
dreams, damn it.
Oh boy, I want to know what he's on by
You're
the
not
end of that.
wrong. You're not wrong. But overall, I did enjoy these four performances, despite maybe a little bit of issues starting out with them. And we get to move on.
Cool.
Gigi, we got your street rat Luigi.
Yeah.
So, Luigi, these three characters, essentially, they come in a little bit of a storyline where Cujo is gone to this bigger city to, I think was he running errands or was he trying to find a present?
He was trying to shop for a present. He was shopping.
I like to call this arc Cujo goes to the mall.
Basically.
Cujo goes to the mall and then occult
human trafficking bullshit happens.
This was a good arc. I liked this arc.
It was a really good story.
I like this one, yeah.
So Luigi is this little kid. He's been living on the streets for pretty much all of his life. But for Luigi, he's actually very, very observant. Like, he pays attention to a lot of details, and he's very good with numbers and days and things like
That
that.
is a that is a photographic memory. There is physically no way you could do that
Yeah.
without this kid being a photographic memory. That, like, they never
Something
say it.
photographically-
That's
yeah.
exactly what that is.
Basically, yes. And he actually helps Cujo and the police in solving this mystery about this. Because the main mystery of this is there's a bunch of missing girls that have been disappearing. Then we also have Jacqueline de Signor. She comes into the picture because she actually knows Grayville, Victorique's older brother, whom we're going to talk about later on. And Jacqueline is actually the love interest of Grayville. However, she's married to Superintendent General Signor, and he runs a police force in that district. So basically, he's the one in charge of the police investigation with these missing girls. And that's how we bring in Jacqueline and how she's introduced. And we also actually find out, because of Jacqueline, she's essentially the reason why Grayville has his hair in a big-ass fucking drill all the time. Because Jacqueline, before she got married to the superintendent, she was actually accused of murder. So Grayville went to Victorique for her help in order to solve the mystery, and in exchange, the hairstyle.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just as a side note, Jacqueline does not know that Grayville is in love with her. So, the individuals voicing these characters. As Luigi, we have Miss Brittany Lotta, who has been in series such as Alison Zoroku, Ria Rainbow Gate, and Hina Logic from Luck and Logic. Anastasia Munoz is Jacqueline, who has been in series such as Yomengun, Overlord, and Shiki. And then we have Brandon Potter as our superintendent, who has been in series such as Black Cat, Ghost in the Shell Arise, and School Rumble. Who would like to go first with their thoughts on these characters?
I'm just gonna say straight up, I honestly don't actually remember anything about the superintendent himself. He sort of existed as, oh, I guess he's married to the girl that Grayville's in love with, so that's a thing. But Jacqueline herself, I actually really enjoyed her character. I forgot about her, like, almost completely, but she was a fun character to see around. She had good spirits, and she was genuinely hopeful. I actually really liked her interacting with Victorique, and that was a whole fun sequence where it's like they were just donating books and just reminiscing. She was a fun character, and she also eventually later on goes to sponsor Luigi, who is a street rat on, well, the streets.
Well,
and
yes.
Okay, Brittany Lauda as Luigi was very interesting. I'm not as familiar with Brittany Lauda doing a lot of young boy voices yet at this point, but I think she does a really good job at doing this spunky little kid who knows everything about the streets, and it was genuinely interesting watching this character interact, and was basically integral to solving this mystery, because he's like, he basically knew exactly when everybody went missing, and the reason he knew is because, like, the investigation, and he remembered exactly when people were swiped off the streets. Anastasia Munoz, I think, adds a lot of charm and fun, like free will, free fun and style to Jacqueline, and I enjoy her quite a bit. She also gets a little emotional near the end when it turns out her childhood friend sort of realizes he's a bit of a kiss-ass to Daddy Black Magic, but that's another story for another time. But yeah, I enjoyed Brittany and Anastasia. Brandon, I'm sure, did good as the superintendent, but I really don't actually remember anything about that character.
Okay.
So as far as Brittany Latta goes, like, I'm not too familiar with her stuff, but I thought she sounded fine, and I mean, I thought Luigi sounded, like, cute and everything. He was pretty interesting, I guess. Far as Brandon Potter goes, he was just there, I guess. His character existed. I mean, but hey, it's Brandon Potter. I like Brandon Potter fine, so if Brandon Potter just has to exist, I guess that's okay. And then Anastasia Munoz as Jacqueline. Yeah, I like Jacqueline a lot too. I thought she was like I thought she was a pretty nice character. Like, I liked the whole peppy attitude, and I really felt for Papador-kun and his whole like unrequited love that kind of sucked.
Gigi?
Audrey. Luigi was Audrey. That made me happy. My note for Luigi was the one kid I didn't want to punch in the face.
That
You know
says
what?
a lot.
You know what? That's a good note.
I mean, like, there were a ton, I felt like, of strange little auxiliary characters, and especially like the ones in the school. And I know they're a little bit aged up, but I was like, man, I don't like any of these extras walking around. And then I saw this little blonde kid, and I was iffy, because didn't this come after the thing we just talked about? Right?
Yes, I believe so.
I was iffy because it was another little blonde kid, and the characters kind of meshed together for me, and I was like, oh god, he's back. And then it was
Too
like,
many blondes.
little blonde kid. There's
many
too many
blondes.
blondes. Too many blondes.
That's the whole thing. They're basically like the Xerxes from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Actually, speaking of which, that's gonna be really funny when we talk about next section. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So I really liked her
right.
performance there. I was like, good on you, girl. I was like, this is great. I am so happy that I like this child, because I have a bad history with wanting to punch shiny anime children in the face. I don't know.
Oh god.
Not really. I'm just talking out my ass right now, guys. Jacqueline, something I'm going to bring up later is she actually sounds her age. She sounds very age appropriate for her character. I really actually liked this character. However, I didn't like her enough to realize that she was married to the other guy, who I literally saw in the second to last episode, because for some reason Funimation took down the last one, which I was going to use to write my notes and whatever. To him, I just wrote unmemorable. Apparently that seems to be the consensus. But I really like Jacqueline. I thought she was gonna make out with blonde space dandy at the end of this, so I'm just gonna live in my fan fiction Gosick thing, and that's it. I really like Jacqueline. Like, no, I'm really excited that she sounded age appropriate, which is so hard to do in anime. I feel it's so hard for characters to sound age appropriate, and this one did. And also Luigi sounded age appropriate also, so
I don't often hear Anastasia play the spunky, lively, energetic characters, and I wish I could hear her do that more, because I too love Jacqueline. She was just full of energy, full of life, and she could almost do no wrong. She's almost like an sweet, innocent cinnamon roll. Too good and pure for this world, except for the fact that she did get accused of murder, but. Which, by the way, the murder, how it was set up, the motive apparently had something to do with her hamster dying. The supposed motive and reason why she was being accused, which is so fucking dumb. It's like, why do you think it's her? And it's about a fucking hamster.
Steph, all the mysteries in this were like either A, completely off the wall stupid, B, I could solve in 30 seconds, or C, made absolutely no sense.
I mean, I love mystery, but come on now.
Yeah.
Even I'm just like, she killed
I'll agree with Gigi.
The one on the boat was really interesting.
The one on the boat I
with
solved
Gigi,
in 3 seconds.
Oh my god.
Fair enough. Okay, there's a couple of mystery. Okay, this is a mixed bag. There's a couple of mysteries and story arcs that I think, oh, these are actually pretty decent. But I will agree that there's a couple, like the Village of the Grey Wolves,
Right.
and especially the one about how she was accused, were definitely more than a little bit silly.
Yeah, but I really did. I like Anastasia Munoz as Jacqueline. She was definitely a fun character from that little section. And I'm glad that the character got to come up again. Same with Luigi, because I love Brittany Lotta as Luigi. And now that
He's growing up into a good boy.
he grows up into a good boy. He grows up into a very good boy. Yeah, now that I'm slowly getting more of a handle on Brittany Lotta and her range, it's definitely very enjoyable to see her come in here. And
Also, worth noting that this was probably before she like moved down to Texas area. So
you would be
she was-
correct, actually. You would be correct on that. This was she was recording for Luigi before she moved to Texas.
Mhm.
And Brandon Potter is Brandon Potter. I usually have no problems with Brandon Potter, but like I do agree with Gigi. The character's not really that memorable. To be quite honest.
He does, in fact, lead the police force, and he is, in fact, married to that woman.
Yes. Yes.
So,
do we think we're going to move on to our next set of characters?
Yes.
let me say something. Let me say something first, Steph.
Okay.
Gigi, you said by the end of the show you wanted Greyveal and Jacqueline to start making out and stuff, but you were disappointed to find that they were married, correct?
Well, I just figured that out now, so yes.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. They can still make out, but there's some noticeable consequences that could lead to that scenario happening. So let's move on to our next set of characters.
Okay.
Ooh. Oh, I know.
I had to work that one.
I
I
know
don't
you
get
were-
it.
So, okay. So we have King Rupert de Giret?
King Rupert. Call him
King Rupert. King Rupert. King of Sibyur. We have Jupiter Roger. Jupiter Roger is in charge of the Academy of Sciences, and that memento box that I mentioned earlier, where the first set of characters, it actually belongs to him. Now, the reason why everybody's fighting for this so much is because it holds a very, very important secret that could really shift the balance of power.
His umbilical cord. Jesus Christ. Now, Steph, please. I worked that segue. Let's talk about who I'm really excited to talk about.
And then we have Leviathan. So Leviathan, there is essentially where these three characters initially come up. There is this story about this alchemist named Leviathan, who Victorique discovers his memoir in the library, and which is pretty funny, by the way, because he's challenging the reader to solve his mystery, and Victorique just takes it as a personal challenge. First of all, the story with Leviathan is he wants to be found. He's this alchemist who, I'm trying to remember the story. He's this alchemist who used to live in seclusion, but ended up invited to the palace to act as an advisor of sorts to King Rupert. However, after he was supposedly exposed as a fraud, and a bunch of other politics and what do, he ends up leaving, is deemed a traitor, he runs away, but he ends up killed. The true story of this is, though, and it becomes very pertinent in the last third of the show, Leviathan is African American. And Leviathan had an affair with Rupert's wife, Queen Coco. And they had a son.
Which led to maybe a case of, blind murderous rage. It happens.
Yeah.
Just relationship issues.
Yeah. But the big thing is, because the last third of the show is centered around
solving the murder of
Queen
Coco
Rose. And there's this play that goes on that kind of depicts the events that happens. However, of course, Victory solves the case. She explains what goes on. And Jupiter Roger is actually one of the individuals who helps cover up this murder in order for King Rupert to not be persecuted for it.
We could talk about the actual plot of this for a while. There's
a lot going on with this story arc in particular.
Of all the side stories going on in Gosick, I think the story of Leviathan, as well as the murder or case of Queen Coco Rose, is actually some of the show's best.
Yes.
Bar none.
Absolutely.
It's genuinely interesting, and you get a really good feel for who Leviathan is as a person and, like, his actual, like, relationship with these characters.
Yeah.
Not only that, you get to meet, a character we'll talk about in a little bit, but that's he meets the young culty version of
we'll get to him. We're gonna get to
but-
him anyway. So who's voicing these characters, you may ask? So King Rupert is being voiced by Sonny Strait, who has been in series such as the new Escaflowne dub from Funimation, Fullmetal Alchemist, and because we're the Detective Squad, anybody remember Rampo Kitan?
Yes.
And Sonny's character from that.
Oh, he was the Million Faces.
Yes.
Oh, the one that I didn't think was him.
Jupiter Roger. This is probably very easy casting, but personally, I think it works wonderfully. Kent Williams, who has been in series such as Soul Eater, One Piece, and The Heroic Legend of Arslan. And I had to add Arslan in there because it's so funny.
No, you should add Fullmetal Alchemist into there, too, because he straight up looks just like the Elric brothers.
No, but dude, it's funny because Kent Williams' character is the father of Cliff's character in The Heroic Legend of Arslan.
Ah, okay.
Relevant. And then for Leviathan, we have Ray Hurd, who has been in series such as Overlord, Tokyo ESP, and One Piece Film Z. That is a mouthful.
And One Piece.
And One Piece Film Z. So, who would like to go first with their thoughts on these three characters?
I'll make two of these quick. Sonny Strait, he's really good. He's really fucking crazy and really shooken up as a man that did a bunch of shit, and he's taken advantage of for that. He does a good job, though. Also, he does not understand personal space. No means no. No, please do not take off my mask. No, please do not stab me.
Dude, if
you gotta learn no
dude,
means no.
We can't talk about personal space until we get to the next set of characters.
Yeah,
'Cause
I know.
Can we talk about personal space there?
Who needs
boy,
personal
okay.
space?
Gigi,
We
let me
need
finish.
personal space.
Kent
Anyway.
Williams. He does a very good job sounding like authoritative, but like he really knows a bunch of shit's going on, like he's in control of things. He sounds like Kent Williams, and I think he does a really good job at being Kent Williams in voicing Jupiter Roger. I really want to talk about Ray Hurd because he is not a name I really see around often, but I've heard him in a couple performances, especially.
He hasn't done a relatively.
He's done a couple.
So he's still fairly new, but he's been around for at least a few years.
He's done a couple, but he's done some very noteworthy ones.
Right.
One of them being that he is not Jeff Goldblum, one of the 3 Navy admirals in One Piece, and he's really notable in that, as well as like a guy from Grimoire Hearts and Fairy Tail. I want to mention this because there's something about his voice that's like very strong, commanding, but also mysterious with a sensitive side. He brings a lot to the level of this character, like that he's putting on an act, but he genuinely really doesn't want to hurt anybody. Like, he's frustrated. There's a lot going on with this character of Leviathan, and I really feel like this is something we don't get to talk about a lot in regards to anime, but the idea of race for this particular character and this particular casting seemed very critical. Like, very critical, intentional to me. And I think it helps elevate this particular story because there's a strength to it, but he really adds a lot. And it's not a voice I hear often. And it really stood out to me that I understood exactly what he sounded like, that he was very, like, he didn't really want to hurt these people. He didn't really want to, like, have anybody die. But in general, he wanted to gain power. And he used literally the blood money that was stolen from him that he knew where it was. Because he was just some body thrown in a grave that wasn't actually dead.
Yeah, Leviathan's story is very tragic and on multiple levels. And it's very
sad.
intriguing.
It's very interesting, and then he does fall in love with the queen, who really does believe in his magic. He finds somebody, like their kid, genuinely trusts and believes him, and he feels bad about what happens because he flew too close to the sun. And then he has to deal with the shitty cult guy who thinks his stuff isn't more than parlor tricks. And his story's really sad, and I like the contrast of the tiny, like, how opposites are kind of connected, where this very tall, menacing figure is basically being understood, and he's being understood and studied by this tiny little, like, gothic Lolita child with very, like, dull, like, white skin.
Right.
And I, like, the concept of race seemed important for this character.
Oh.
No.
Are you having a fire
That
drill?
you?
I'm having a fire drill.
No!
Good. Go have a fire drill. Keep
No.
recording. I have to pee.
Yeah, keep recording. We'll take a break. Just keep everybody recording. You evacuate, dude. They're gonna
Oh,
take this shit
no.
easy.
This is actually the worst. I'm turning off my mic. I have to turn off my mic. I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll be back in 20 minutes, maybe.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
Okay, good news, people. I'm not dead. This building's not on fire. But I can endorse that Ray Hurd I was very impressed with as Leviathan. And I know my rambling was cut off short, but no, seriously, he's one of my favorite surprise performances. I think he's great. I'm gonna catch my breath now and try not to hyperventilate.
Because
I'll
you
move
ran
this on.
8 flights of stairs.
As soon as we were let in, I bolted that shit and ran up 8 flights of stairs. That's how dedicated I am to you, beautiful sons of bitches. I'm gonna take a few minutes. Okay.
Take a minute. Take a minute. Who's going next? Who's going next?
Okay. Well, Sunny Straight, not playing a squirrel, so A+.
Not playing exposition mascot.
Not playing an animal mascot. I remember him in the last episode. That's the only episode I remember him in, and unfortunately, like I said, when I went to watch it, Funimation took it down. I don't know where it went. Who the hell else were we talking about? Jupiter? Kent Williams?
Yes.
Not Sailor Jupiter, correct?
Not Sailor Jupiter, no.
I was hoping for a crossover. Is this the guy who looks like Armstrong, like a skinnier Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist?
Yes.
All right.
I would say more like a Hohenheim.
Okay, I didn't have anything to say about him, but I was just curious if I could make that connection. Oh, but Leviathan, though. Leviathan, though. He's mysterious. He's deep. He's creepy. He's powerful. I'm 100% in. I am all aboard the Leviathan train. Can we get a choo-choo? Choo-choo. Thank you. Thank you.
Andrew's dying.
Thank you. I can add him to the list of people I would really like to hear more of, especially boys, because my list basically consists of boys. But no,
Oh,
like
Lord.
I liked that he was telling like this story, like from the little book that he wrote. I thought it was funny that it was a pop-up book too. But I wanted him to read me a bedtime story. Like, Ray Hurd, can you do that? Are you on Audible? Like, cause I'm down. Yes. I really liked him. He actually, if it weren't for his voice, I wouldn't have paid as much attention to this arc, because it's basically a kind of fucked up Rumpelstiltskin. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because that's what it is. And I was like, okay. So if you weren't there, I couldn't get behind this as much as I did. So I'm glad you were there. So thank you for being a friend.
So, with Sunny Straight, for the longest time, you can primarily hear him as more of the goofy, fun characters. And you kind of rarely hear him as a very, like, a straight, serious, more dramatic character. And I really enjoyed him here as King Rupert, because King Rupert's story is fairly tragic, and it's very interesting to see Sunny play out this story and this character arc, going from a well-respected, well-loved king who has this guilty conscience, going all the way to, oh my god, my advisors have abandoned me, I have no one left, my people hate me, what am I supposed to do? And it's a very interesting transition throughout the character arc and his performance. Kent Williams, I said this when we brought into this section, it's a very interesting choice, and it seems like a typical choice that you would make, but I love it. Kent Williams is Kent Williams. I typically have no problems when it comes to Kent Williams. But, again, going into Ray Hurd, though, because the only role that I know him for that I've heard at this point would be Overlord. So it's very interesting to see him go in and come in and play more roles. And like Andrew was saying before, we always have the very rare discussion of race coming into anime, because the thing is, how often do we see African American voice actors voice anime? Honestly, I don't think it's that often. And given the circumstances of Leviathan's character and his background and his story, which is a very, very tragic story, it's one of the most tragic ones of the show, I honestly think Ray Hurd amplified it. He not only portrayed the tragic story very well, but like Gigi was saying, he was very captivating as the narrator of the story that Victor Reek and Cujo end up reading throughout the course of that little arc. So, props to Ray Hurd. I thought it was a very enjoyable performance, and I also would love to see more things from him in the near future. Jet, do you want to go into your thoughts of these three characters?
Okay, so far as Sunny Straight as the king goes, I thought he sounded pretty good. It's always kind of interesting hearing Sunny Straight do more serious roles compared to the kind of things he normally does. And as far as Kent Williams goes, funny enough, I was actually complaining a few weeks ago that it had been a while since the last time I really heard him in anything, and then here he is.
A surprise! Surprise!
So anyway, I really enjoy his style of performance, and I was very happy with him here, and I thought Jupiter Roger was a pretty interesting character. I liked his whole weird dynamic with the king and how he played him and the whole, like, being a Grey Wolf thing. And I mean, well, he wasn't exactly, like a good guy or anything. He was certainly a heck of a lot better than Albert, I will tell you that.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Okay, and then as far as Ray Hurd goes, this was my first time ever really hearing him in anything. I mean, okay, well, I guess technically I did hear him in Fairy Tale, but I didn't really know that was him, and I wasn't paying that much attention, I guess. So, so for the first time, like, that he kind of stood out to me, I really like his voice. Like, it feels naturally powerful in a way you don't see much in newer anime these days. And it really did a lot to sell Leviathan as a great alchemist, even if that whole bit was technically a sham. And I also really liked the whole Leviathan story. Like, I thought the twist was really neat, both from a storytelling front and also for how it tackled the whole issue of, like, racist undertones in early 20th century Europe. Because, yeah, if you have, like, a little mulatto baby, that's not going to go over well with people in that time period.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I was, like, really impressed with this. I was really impressed with Ray Hurd's performance, and I really hope I get to hear him in more things soon.
Cool. We ready to move on?
I am. I was very impressed with this story.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah, the Leviathan story is I think is probably one of, like, I think someone was saying this earlier, it's definitely one of the stronger arcs for the show.
We can move on.
Oh boy! Can we move on?
Is it time?
Oh no! Yes, it is.
Is it time for Gigi's Yaoi Corner?
Yes.
Oh God!
Yes.
Fuck me! I need more liquids for this section. Fuck.
Well, that sucks.
Please continue. I'll be back in a second.
So while Andrew's gonna go get some more water, the man ran up 8 flights of goddamn stairs after a fire alarm, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce you to Albert de Blua, who is the father of Victorique and Greyville. We have Cordelia Gallo, who is the mother of Victorique. And then we have Brian Roscoe. Brian Roscoe is an interesting character. So Brian Roscoe is this illusionist who has a thing for Cordelia. And basically throughout the series, he's essentially been helping Cordelia make sure that Victorique is safe. And
Roscoe's
Reluctantly.
double your pleasure.
Very reluctant. Well, I would only say half reluctantly. They're identical twins.
Double Gigi's fun.
So that's
Remember, people, 1 is the loneliest number, but 2 can be as bad as 1.
oh, Lord.
And you know I like
So-
bad boys.
God damn it. So let's talk about your bad boys, Gigi.
Yeah, finally.
So Brian Roscoe, both the twins of Brian Roscoe are voiced
The other twin doesn't even have a name. He's just the other Brian Roscoe.
pretty much, yes.
It's fine. He
So-
doesn't need a
Like,
name.
he has nothing. He has nothing to distinct him from. Like, seriously, just a fucking pair of sunglasses, so you could do Brian Roscoe.
No, there is a clear
the
difference.
cooler
There is a
Brian
clear
Roscoe.
difference, and I will talk about it.
There is a
Okay,
difference. and we'll have-
tell me. Please continue. Please
We'll have
continue.
fun with this conversation. So Brian Roscoe, both Brian Roscoes, are voiced by Robert McCollum, who you have seen in series such as Death Brave, My Hero Academia, and Terran Resonance. We have as Cordelia, we have Miss Elizabeth Maxwell, who has been in series such as Noragami, Attack on Titan, and New Game. And as for Albert de Blua, oh boy, so here we go. Oh, I don't know if anybody's ready for this. So,
I am. I'm so ready.
So here's the thing. There are 2 voices for Albert. We have a younger version and an older version, though primarily we're going to be talking about the older version. The younger version, just to give a shout out and credit for, the younger version of Albert is voiced by David Matranga, who has been in series such as My Love Story, Lift a Chevalier Dayon, and Diabolic Lovers. But the older Albert, the present day Albert, oh sweet baby Jesus, we have David Wald.
The fun police.
The Fun Police is here.
Woo,
And
woo.
he's been in series such as Fairy Tale, Garo the Animation, and The Royal Tutor. So he's another goddamn dad. And my god, is this one the most twisted one I have ever.
So,
What a
He could-
dilf.
No. Here's the thing, and I was thinking of this earlier. He could give Shao motherfucking Tucker a run for his money as worst dad.
Jesus Christ, he fucking could.
Cause let's face it. Let's face it. While Shao Tucker may have done some crazy shit to his wife, kid, and dog, fucking Albert kidnaps a woman, and I'm sorry,
He rapes her.
fucking rapes her.
There's no undertone. He straight up rapes her.
he rapes her just to have a baby, to have the Grey Wolf blood. I'm sorry. I think we have a contender for worst dad. It's not Shao Tucker anymore. It's this motherfucker. Okay, Jack can go first. What do you think, Jack?
Okay, so as far as Elizabeth Maxwell goes, I mean, I like Elizabeth Maxwell's voice a lot, so I was pretty happy with how she did here. I thought she did a pretty good job of playing, got the whole, mysterious, kind of alluring vibe. And, I really kind of liked her whole, story with how she just kind of came around to wanting to protect Victory and all of that, and I really kind of like how they portrayed that bond. I thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, and as far as David Wald goes, okay, I don't have too much here to say that other than Albert is a scumbag who I wanted to see Lars into the sun.
What?
You want to punch him in the face?
And David Wald played that level of villainy to perfection. I've always kind of enjoyed his work when it comes to playing suave or sinister characters, so I didn't doubt he'd deliver. But he really brought his A game on this one, and it really reminded me of why I hated this guy back in 2011, so thank you, David Wald. Your ham was much appreciated.
Fucking. Okay.
And then for Robert McCollum. Robert McCollum is one of my favorite voice actors, so I'm pretty much always happy with his work. And sure enough, he did a great job of playing the whole Mystery Man routine. And while I dug his performance, I did have my problem with the character himself, or should I say characters, because I really don't get the whole twisted him with twin. It doesn't make much sense. It contradicts some of the stuff he saw beforehand, and it ends up completely changing the whole dynamic between him and Cordelia. Because before, it's kind of like this whole, tragic romance where he was, really into her, but then she got taken away by this other man and had this child, and now every time he sees that child, he's like reminded of her, but he still wants to be with her, and it's like really, okay, that's like really kind of sad. And then they change it to this whole like crazy anime soccer nonsense because twins. It was so stupid.
Here's the thing, and I kind of want to segue into my thoughts going from there. With Brian Roscoe, and I feel like I know what Gigi wanted to bring up, and I'm sorry if I'm bringing this up early. You can at least tell in Robert's performance and the personality the two Brian Roscoes.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't really enough to like completely derail the show for me, but it was a really bizarre whiplash, and yeah, I was not a fan of that whole bit.
I know. I mean,
If the actor didn't try, there's no way to tell.
yeah.
No, that's not true. But
I mean,
Okay,
here's the
we'll
thing.
get to that, Gigi.
Here's the thing. Plot-wise, I understand how you feel, because it can contradict some things, but we kind of got to remember that one of the Brian Roscoes, too, you can tell that he's definitely very infatuated with Cordelia. Well, they both are. He's very infatuated with Cordelia. However, he's a more gentle and soft kind of person.
yes.
Compared to the other Brian Roscoe, who this mostly comes out when they rescue Victorique from
Yes.
her father, and this Brian Roscoe is taking Victorique away in a carriage, and he basically goes nuts, and he's pissed. He doesn't understand why this little girl means so much to this woman that he cares about. So you can tell the two distinct performances, and I think the big thing to remember is we gotta remember that the more gentle, soft-spoken Brian Roscoe is the one we see more often with Cordelia compared to the other one.
All right, I have a lot to say too, so I want to hear your thoughts on the other two and move on.
Okay, Elizabeth Maxwell as Cordelia, I loved it. I mean, I didn't think Elizabeth Maxwell could play a gothic Lolita, but Show by Rock was also a thing, and those characters are rather short in stature anyway. But Cordelia is probably one of the other very tragic characters, and especially when you see her backstory. She goes from being exiled from her home village, or home kingdom, to working as a dancer, on roller skates, mind you, at this theater, to being kidnapped by this crazy motherfucking man, to being forcibly, I don't even think they were even married, basically, to being raped, to giving birth to this child that she wasn't intending to have to begin with, and then just trying to protect that child that she cares about, because the big thing with Cordelia is she feels like she kind of lost her soul and it was passed to Victorique. So she wants to protect her soul, and if she feels that if Victorique is dead, then Cordelia is just gone. So I can understand what she's going through, and Elizabeth Maxwell just portrays it so beautifully, and it's just so well done. And then, what is there to say that we haven't said about David Wald? Ever, really. I want to punch this guy in the fucking face.
No.
He deserves it, and you know
He
it!
deserves it, Gigi. I'm sorry. He deserves it. And it, similar to what Jen was saying, it's a testament. I love it. Here's the thing I love. When you get me to want to punch you in the face, you done good, sir. Because you made me believe that this piece of shit is a piece of shit. And it was just a perfect, phenomenal performance. I think it was so slimy and like, there were moments, and I know Gigi's will bring it up, but I'm gonna save it. There was a moment where I felt like I needed a shower. It was so bad
Hot.
and just gross. I'm like, why? So, props to you, David Wall. This is great. And just again, a shout out to Dave Matronga, who plays the younger version. It was a lot of fun as well. I'm done. I think I need a shower right now just thinking about this fucking.
Okay. I'm building myself back up to this. Okay, where do I start first?
Here I go.
Let's see. Okay, so first things first. I'm gonna start with Cordelia for this one. I really like Elizabeth Maxwell. I actually was genuinely surprised because, like, in her flashback, she sounds a lot younger and lighter than I'm usually used to hearing her sound, which genuinely surprised me and made me think, wait, is that actually Elizabeth Maxwell? Did they hire another person to do the younger Cordelia? No, they did not. That was her. That was fucking impressive. Also, she sings good, and she does a really good job at being brooding, badass mother. And I really liked her a lot as this character. Brian Roscoe, Robert McCollum. As soon as I saw that character, I thought, you know what? Robert McCollum could do him really good. Guess what? He does him really good. He does him twice good over. So hey, about that, you know what? I'm kind of a Jets camp with this, where it's like, you could probably tell, but in regards to the story, it not only does it really not add anything, it actually changes the context and makes it a little weirder. Because at first, it's like straight up, I'm in love with her, she was taken from me, and even though I'm with her again, her heart still belongs to the child that was born out of rape, and that's something that really dawns on him, and that made sense to me about why he'd be frustrated, why he wouldn't care for her, but he still cares for Cordelia and wants to stop Arthur. Then when it's the twins, it's clear where it's like, wait, you're not in love with her, you want her to be your family? And your mom?
That's the thing that I didn't believe.
That's the thing I'm
That's
like, wait.
the part where it lost me.
Yeah, no, she's totally a MILF.
Mother.
Well, I mean, she is a MILF, but that's aside the point. No, it's just like, straight up, just admit that you're both into her and just, I don't know, it's called an Eiffel Tower, make it work.
Whoa! Whoa!
That's one Oedipus complex. That's one Oedipus complex.
Speaking of, okay, let's get this going.
Let's talk about David Wald.
Let's talk about Marquis Arthur Dublas.
Albert.
Fuck him, whatever his name is. Okay, let me get this out of the way. David Wald, you're fucking fantastic. You are best boy. You are playing the literal worst fucking person ever. Goddamn fucking fuck this character up. Okay.
Andrew, you're gonna get us ad restricted.
Rage.
Let's face it, Gigi. This is already going to be ad restriction. Fuck my life. I don't care. Anyways, simply put, I'm building myself up to this. I got a bunch of rage going on. Okay. Arthur or Albert, whatever. Asshole is kind of the embodiment of where this show basically starts rolling out of control in terms of like what the fuck is this trying to be, and the embodiment of all of its tonal whiplash completely. He is straight up the leader of the occult society. He straight up sees a girl who's like, oh, you're of this descendant. I want you to be mine. So kidnaps her in the street, literally takes her to his castle, rapes her, as a fucking occultic blood and ritual thing, locks her in a tower, locks the child in the tower, lets her solve mysteries and shit, and basically like doesn't even see her as a child or a human, as an object to benefit his will, which is actually a very common theme in the show about shitty rich people adults using children to predict the future.
This is very true.
This is very true. Fuck rich people for ruining kids' lives. Anyways, David Wald is slimy as shit. I fucking love him. Fuck this character. He is literally the worst thing ever. God damn it. I know you like him, Gigi, because he sounds hot and he's alpha, but he's straight up a psycho occult rapist person. I don't get it.
I fucking told you he's gonna give Shao Tucker a run for his money. He's that bad of a dad.
I'll let Gigi talk about her favorite moment, but when that happened, I'm straight up like, you have just transcended time itself to become the Sword Art Online villain. Fuck you.
Are you done now?
Yes, Gigi, just
I
go.
am.
Are you done?
I'm going to drink literally all of this water for the next minute and a half, so yes.
Great. So while Andrew and everyone else hates the ground that this guy walks on, he's my second best boy. Very close runner-up, because we all know that since Brian Roscoe fucking looks like the older, hotter brother or uncle of Lito from Diabolic Lovers.
I forgot about that comparison.
He's got to be my best boy. However, these three characters are the sole reason why I started to get invested in this show, like in the last quarter of it, because I had an awfully rough time getting through this anime. I'll talk about it more with my final thoughts, but if it were not for these three characters and the performances behind them, I don't know what I would have done. Like, because I didn't start getting interested until the shit started to hit the fan, until all the crazy dumb crap started happening, and I could just roll around in my trash pile and forget that plots and shit actually have to make sense, because in the last quarter of Gosick, they don't.
I mean, Gigi's
You know
Yaoi
what?
corner for a reason, right?
Honestly, this makes so much more sense to me now.
Yeah.
I didn't get it at first. This makes so much more sense to me. You weren't invested in a majority of the mystery character development stuff, and that was boring you. So when the show straight up became a different show and became a goddamn trashy whatever the fuck it was, you're like, I'm having fun now.
Exactly.
Suddenly this makes sense to me now. Okay. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. I understand you now. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I still don't agree with you.
That's fine.
But I understand you
that's
now.
fine. Because at this point, I would like to indoctrinate Mr. David Wald into my voice actor reverse harem.
You mean induct, not indoctrinate?
Yes. Well, he could be
No,
a doctor.
she means indoctrinate.
Whatever.
This isn't a choice.
Yeah, there's not a choice here. He's coming in. He's coming in and he's gonna fucking like it because he's a goddamn fun police. And by God, he needs to voice every fucking anime evil dilf in the known universe. Do you know how many dilfs David Wald has fucking voiced? All of them. At least all the ones that fucking matter.
I think this is the first time I've seen him voice an evil one.
If you mixed Reiji and the dad from the Royal Tutor, this is what you'd get.
The dad from the Royal Tutor was not evil.
No, Reiji's fucking evil though.
Oh, no, you're saying the Royal Tutor. Okay, now I see.
Yes,
Never
if you
mind.
mix that, you get this. Holy shit, was it fucking hot. I'm sorry. I am. Get your zombie voice out of here, Andrew. We already killed you once.
This day would come. I was wondering when this day would come.
When
David Wald gets inducted into the reverse era.
Like once the fun police happened, and then he just kept coming around, and I was like, holy shit, how fucking hot can you get? He has reached like top tier hotness being the evil motherfucker in this role, because you know me, I like asshole characters. This is like top tier asshole. Like, you can't really get worse than him unless you added in, no wait, there is a devil cult. Okay, so definitely top tier asshole. The only fucking note I wrote down for him was yes, with a bunch of exclamation points underlined 3 times.
So basically,
Okay.
your reaction is similar to how the rest of us feel about him.
Except I'm a dirty bitch and I thought it was hot.
Yes.
Especially that part where he fucking bit Victoric's ear.
There
and then
it
I was
is.
rolling on the
Okay.
ground.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So, I know you think that's hot, Gigi. I get that. That's fine. But I'm going to pick up this mic and say that's his fucking daughter.
Yeah, I forgot that. So if you don't pay attention to the plot or what's going on and you just recognize it for the trash that it is. No plot. You don't need to know who these characters are. It was just fucking hot.
I need a
All right.
shower again. No. So yeah,
Okay.
basically, Gigi, you had essentially the same. The performance was so good, but it had a different effect on you.
We all like. Okay, let's just make this clear right now. I like all 3 of these performances a lot.
Yes.
My problem is with these characters, because all of these characters basically are the de facto, this is where everything flies off the fucking rails.
Pretty much.
But that's why it was so good. And now let me teach you about Brian Roscoe, children.
Oh boy, here we go.
Roscoe, my
Here we go.
Doublemint twins, double your pleasure, double your fun, who is the best boy in this fucking show. Roscoe / Victoric's dad / Roscoe, OTP, for life.
God.
Well, now that is a cursed Eiffel Tower if I've ever seen one.
I mean, you gotta roll with the punches here when it comes to OTPs, because how do you make a Gigi OTP? You take the hottest characters in the show and you shove them together, and then you have a ship. This is how my life
Oh,
works.
This
Oh
is
god,
how-
it just
this-
hit me.
this is how
and
Gigi
a
makes
cult,
her ships.
And a cult, Gigi.
What?
And a cult Eiffel Tower is literally just an Ouroboros.
Oh, God bless. through the characterization in the first episodes of the show, whenever you see Roscoe, there is legitimately no way to tell that there are two Roscoes. However, once the big reveal happens, I lose my fucking shit and fall on the floor again because there's fucking two, and I'm like, oh my god, look at all the fan fiction this writes itself. There's like clues that, oh yeah, he is a magician. And once you see Cordelia getting in the little robot, you're like, oh yeah, this is how he does his tricks. So how he does his tricks, obviously back in, you know, there's no Chris Angels back in the 1900s. I love fucking Chris Angel too. But there's like twins. You can be twins. And that's how you can have magic, by having something that is larger than life and kind of unbelievable, which is why, because it's kind of unbelievable, it makes sense. Now, however, the duality between the two Roscoes was extremely good, and I owe that all to Robert McCullum, who I never really have heard in a lot of things, but my friend Meg is totally like obsessed with Robert McCullum, and I was he's good. So the first not as mean Roscoe compared to the second really mean Roscoe. I liked the second one better, obviously, because I like asshole characters.
I'm shocked.
You're so shocked. But I felt for him so bad. And then when Cordelia died, and I was like, oh my God, he loves her so much. Maybe not in the mom way. Couldn't buy that, but you know.
I don't buy that.
That
at
death,
all.
though. I almost cried when he died. I was like, no. I was like, you are not taking him away from me right now. Like, both of them, like, in the span of 15 minutes. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So, for a tiny character, and his character role was very small, he did steal the show, in my opinion. And we're going to talk about Cordelia, who is best girl. Cordelia is best girl.
I won't fight you on that. She's pretty cool. She straight up goes Yoda at the penultimate episode. What the fuck?
For the few lines that she had, she puts more emotion and pain and assertiveness into her performance than other characters who have 10 times as more lines. She sings very well, which brings me to the point that if Victorique's mom sings really well, why doesn't Victorique sing well?
Okay.
Let's save that for Victorique.
That's
we will save that. But I just...
Vocal cords aren't genetic. Let's just get
They actually kind of are. So, just saying. These were my three favorite characters. Like I said, once it became the steaming trash pile, and I say that in a loving way because there were no more mysteries really to figure out once everything started to hit the fan.
Gigi loves her trash.
I love my trash, and I am very grateful to have had a little bit of trash in the show because it made it for me. It made me enjoy the last quarter of it more than any of the other episodes. So, and it's 98% with 2% that I'll talk about later due to these three characters. So, David Wall, welcome to the harem. I haven't decided quite what number you're going to be yet because somebody has to get kicked out, and I don't want to piss anybody off.
Just put him as number 666.
No, Alejandro's at number 6 now. I have to decide if he's going to stay or if he's going to move up.
I think so long as you don't kick out Alejandro, because he'll be so heartbroken.
No, never.
Be so heartbroken.
He just keeps moving up. So,
David Wald, you are a very good boy. I'm sorry you had to play the biggest trash boy in the show, but you did fucking good as him.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being there. Thank you, Cliff, for casting them because these were the best choices you could have made. We're
almost there. We've been doing this forever. Stupid fire alarms. Let's go. Avro Bradley, Cecil Lafitte, or Cecile, as we'll probably call her, and Sophie. Next characters. Okay, so Avril Bradley. She is a transfer student from England, so she's the new kid, similar to Cujo.
Oh boy, did she ever not stand a chance.
She develops a little crush on Cujo after he rescues her, because initially when she's introduced, it's not her. It's this phantom thief who kidnapped her, is hidden her way, and takes her place.
Queer on.
Which, when we get to it, we'll get to my fun little
We'll bring it up.
Cecile is their school teacher at St. Marguerite Academy. Very lively and energetic. Very much cares for students. And then we have Sophie. She works at the school as well. I would say she mostly works kind of like at the cafeteria as like a cook of sorts. So the three individuals who voice these characters, I'm going to start with Sophie. Sophie is voiced by Morgan Garrett, whom you have heard in series such as 18 If, Tokyo Ghoul A, and Interviews with Monster Girls. Kristen McGuire.
Really? You're doing this right now?
I am.
In front of everybody.
I am. I love you, Andrew. You know I love you. Kristen McGuire voices Cecile, who has been in series such as Casting Town, Dandelion, Fuka, and Real Life. And as Avril Bradley, and probably the biggest surprise of them all among this cast. Oh, one of them anyway. Erica Mendez, who has been in series such as Kill la Kill, Your Lie, Able, and Erased.
I'll go first to talk about the cutie girls. Sophie, she gets the least to do of these three, I feel, but she's got a presence. She's sort of a badass dorm mother. It's interesting to hear Morgan Garrett play what is essentially kind of like a tomboy character in my mind for a lot of it. But, like, she doesn't get much to do, but I like her every time she's on screen. With the exception of one part.
Okay.
With the exception of one part, where she literally becomes, like, the worst in a certain aspect. I was talking to you about this earlier, Steph.
Yes! You and I are in agreement of this. Oh my god.
Okay, Steph and I are both big theater buffs.
Yes.
So when we got to the actual play about the life of Coco Rose, and Sophie and Cecile spent the entire play narrating, reacting, yelling, screaming, and crying, I'm like, you bitches need to get the fuck out of that theater right now!
No, the best part, when Sophie had the fucking sandwich in the theater.
Oh god.
I'm like, I want to punch you right now.
By the way, that part is extra worse when you realize the fact that she was sitting next to the guy who thinks he murdered his wife, and she's narrating his whole false life story for all to hear.
That's great. I love that.
It's like, I came here to have a sad time, and I'm feeling even worse. Whatever. Anyways, I actually really did like Morgan Garrett. I got that out of my chest. That was my only rant. Cecile I really like Kristen. I think she does a really good job as being this very derpy, adorable teacher, but she really cares about her students. She brings a lot of personality. One of my favorite scenes is like when she's afraid about the Graviel taking Victorique again. She's like clinging to him. It's like, I'm not as scared of your drills. I got hair drills of my own to kick your ass. I really like that. And I'm amazed she fit in a trunk. She's really adorable. And near the end of the Coco Rose thing, I straight up was like, I ship Cecile and Sophie because they are basically just like gal pals and they're fucking adorable. And I'm totally cool. I'm cool with them being the gay. And before you judge me for my ships, I'd like to say, cursed Ouroboros Eiffel Tower. Let me remind the audience.
I don't
of that.
judge you for your ships, Andrew.
No.
Okay.
Only remember, guys, if we learn anything, only Jesus can kink shame you.
Only Jesus can kink shame us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, I really don't have much to talk about those two. I think both of them do really good with the performances they're given. I want to preach the gospel that is Erica Mendez, because every time I hear her, I'm continually amazed by her goddamn range. It's really impressive. Because straight up, the last thing I heard her in, because I'm bringing this up like I did earlier, was Danganronpa V3, where she plays a very stoic, cold, but slowly shows her true colors like tsundere-type character in that. And she's basically a bit of a tomboy with a softer side. And she's played that, and she also plays characters that are straight up like young little boys, like Gon in Hunter x Hunter. And this is the other side of the opposite of that spectrum, where Avril is straight up poppy, girly girl type, bubbling and bursting with energy and enthusiasm, and I love her, and I wanted to give her a hug, and I feel so bad that she didn't stand a fucking chance. She got friend-zoned. She got friend-zoned by the ocean. The ocean! The ocean's job is to make...
You're right, she did! She throws the bottles, she's
got friend-zoned by the ocean, and the ocean's job is to make sure that girls get wet.
How long were you waiting to say that joke?
And then the ocean...
All night! All night, Gigi!
Well, I think that run of 8 flights of stairs gave him some energy. Who would like to go next before he goes insane?
Okay, I know I was joking. I really like Erica Mendez. She adds a lot of energy and versatility. I'm so glad I got to hear her in a Funimation dub. You never see that. This woman has amazing range, continues to impress me. Kristen, you're really good too. Same with Morgan Garrett. I just had less to say. Done. I'm done.
Okay, who wants to go
I'm
next?
going to refill on water.
Okay, so I liked Cecile and Sophie a lot. I thought they were like a pretty interesting duo. So I was pretty happy with how Morgan Garrett and Kristen McGuire played those characters. I mean, I'm a little more partial towards Cecile because she was there more. But I liked them both fine. I thought they were both pretty interesting, quirky teachers. And then as far as Erica Mendez goes, okay, so honestly, I have yet to hear Erica Mendez doing anything that sounds less than stellar in just about like anything she's done, so can't really say much other than she done good again. Okay, but I will say it was kind of interesting seeing her play like the sugary sweet girl when all of her other roles have been kind of like a little bit more spunky. But it really did a great job of kind of making Avril feel endearing to me. And it definitely made me feel a lot more sorry for her during the show's run, because that poor girl, she just never stood a chance. Like, the moment she... as far back as like the first few episodes, you just knew she was doomed. She didn't have a prayer.
He got like a love triangle of blonde beauties. It was like that visual novel from Gamers. Continue.
I'm gonna start with Avril, and she has like the cutest, girliest voice I've ever heard from Erica Mendez. Just reiterating what everybody else said. I didn't really like the character, probably because I understand her pain, and the friend zone is a terrible fucking zone to be in. This character is also like a little jealous brat, which I totally also resonate with. So, I mean, but I thought her performance was super cute. Like, I could listen to her talk, like in this voice, and I wouldn't be sad about it. I'm gonna bring this up later, but this is what I thought another character could have sounded like. Next up, we're going to talk about the two teachers. So the reason that I could tell them apart was that I was like, which one's the annoying one and which one's the not annoying one? And no, not the performance, just the character was super annoying. So the annoying one was Cecile or Cecile, however you want to take it.
She was swirly glasses, basically.
Yeah, she was the one with the glasses. She's also the one where, when I was talking about the writing before, how I thought everything sounded like very period. When she was eating that cake in episode 12, I was like, ooh, she's prim and proper. And that's the only time I felt that she was actually talking in a voice that represented her age, because she's supposed to be a teacher, and that's mad props to Kristen's acting, because it's very hard to play somebody who's supposed to be older but acts like a kid, and just the way that she wants to make everybody get along and keep everybody involved and be like the super hyper happy character, but she also has to have that kind of maturity with her. So I thought that was a mad prop to her acting. So good on you, girl. Get it, girl. And Sophie, again, just like Jacqueline, Sophie was actually one of the characters who sounded the correct age. She was cute, but she was mature. And I know you guys were talking about the thing in the theater, but I really like that she was the one to narrate it because I thought her fangirling over Coco Rose was so freaking cute. And she actually, and this is like something that's very kind of hard to come by for a female actress who does anime. She has a very pleasant voice to listen to. Like, I know I always say, like, about other, like, boys and stuff, like, oh, their voice is so smooth, they could read the phone book. But because of the art style and everything, for a lot of moe anime characters, for the girls, they're always, like, this very shrill, high-pitched, kind of whiny thing. And I didn't get that with this voice that Morgan did for this character. So I was very happy about it, and I wish I could hear her in more things. Maybe I have, I just don't recall.
You probably have.
I probably have.
You definitely have.
But I really liked her voice. It was very pleasant to listen to. It wasn't like squeaky off the wall like Avril's was. And I liked it. Like, it was very nice to listen to her talk. I was very excited when Sophie came on the screen and had a lot of cool lines to say. So, but I don't want to take that, as props away from Kristen's acting, because if the character weren't as annoying to me, it means she wouldn't have been doing such a good job. So, good job.
I actually want to start with Sophie and Cecil, too. I agree with Gigi on Sophie. Morgan Garrett played it as if it was the correct age. And you can tell there was distinct personality differences between Morgan as Sophie and Kristen as Cecil. And Sophie is definitely... I think it was Andrew described it best, like a dorm mother. And that definitely describes it in like 2 words, and it was a great performance. Kristen as Cecil. Initially looking at the press release, I'm like, and looking at what Cecil's character looks like, I'm like, I don't know how this works. Because I've seen Kristen in other things at this point, and I'm like, I don't know how this works. And then you just let her go. It's one of those situations where you're not sure, but then you let her go for like 20 minutes. And it's like, okay, I gotcha. I get what you're going with here. Cecil and Kristen's character, very high energy, and you can tell instantly, very high energy, very hyperactive, very positive and happy-go-lucky, and very compassionate and caring. Like, you could tell all of those things in that performance, and it was such a fun time for me to hear Kristen as Cecil. And then Erica Mendez as Avril. So here's the thing. When I was watching the introduction episodes for Avril's character, legit, this is the note I wrote down.
Oh, fuck, I forgot, yeah.
Erica seems to be channeling Lucy Christian.
Nice. Nice.
And here's the thing. Remember when I was saying that Avril was kidnapped by this Phantom Thief person, and then they took her place? That was Lucy Christian.
I also remember thinking, holy shit, I've never heard Erica sound like this before. She sounds so much like Lucy Christian.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was...
I completely forgot that. That whole plot twist.
Again, this is the first time I'm really getting to watch this show, like, fully. So I'm like, oh shit, Erica's channeling Lucy Christian. And then I learned there's actually 2 people. And legit, Lucy Christian is playing the masquerading Phantom Thief here. I'm like, well, fuck, there is more to it than this.
That's so pretty funny.
Funny note. Yeah. But I also loved Erica Mendez here as Avril. It's, again, holy mother of God, let's bring in everybody from everywhere to voice these characters.
All the warriors!
Let's go. But I really enjoyed Avril. She's also very happy-go-lucky, very spunky. And I do feel bad for her because she's friend-zoned so hard. And you know it's obvious. I can't root for her because I'll admit I was rooting for Victor and Cujo because reasons. But but I did enjoy Erica Mendez as Avril. I think she was very adorable. She got the hyperactive. Not hyperactive. That's Cecil to a T, actually. She got the high energy. She got the perky personality. She got this naive outlook. because she's very much in between all of the characters. Really, she's the one who's probably the most into these ghost stories and these mysteries, and her competitions that she's had with Victor Reek once the two finally meet each other are probably some of my favorite interactions, because Victor Reek first there is a farting newt, and it's the greatest thing I could ever think of for a terrible nickname. But yeah, I very much love these characters and these performances. Do we think we're good to move on? Because we're down to 3.
I would hug literally all of these girls. They're great. They're wonderful. Avril deserves, like, the hottest, nicest, sexiest, richest guy in the world. Fuck.
Does she deserve a skater boy?
Do skater boys exist in the 1930s?
No, you don't get it.
He didn't get it.
He was a skater boy. She said, "See you later, boy." He wasn't good enough.
Oh,
there you go,
okay.
Avril Lavigne. Let's go.
Oh, you fucking goddamn.
God damn it, Andrew.
You ruined the joke.
You know what? I want to be mad, but I'm so impressed at how you made that work.
I learned from the best, sweetie.
I love you too, Gigi.
I love
God
you,
bless.
boo.
All right, we're down to 3 characters. We're going individual at this point. So let's start. Oh, man. I think this is going to be the most fun and interesting conversation we might have here. At least one of them. Graville de Blua. He is the older brother of Victor Reek, the eldest son of Albert, Marquis de Blua. He works for he's a detective for the police force in Sabur. And he very often calls on Victor Reek for her assistance. And his character is just very, very interesting. Because a lot of it, it's like, because his interactions with Victor Reek, at least starting out, he doesn't even acknowledge her. He doesn't acknowledge even her presence. He'll, like, if Cujo's there, he'll just straight up talk to Cujo about shit. And Victor Reek just listens, and he never acknowledges her. So, with his character eventually, like, throughout the course of the show, he kind of relaxes a bit, and because he's seen as trying to live up to his father's standards, but he kind of strays away from that. And you know how we were saying how Marquis de Blua basically treats Victor Reek as property, not a person. Graville starts to treat Victor Reek throughout the series slowly but surely as a person, not property. So it's very interesting to see that character progression. And it's very interesting to see who voices this character. Because we actually have a virtual unknown here. His name is Adam Rowe. The only other credit that you have possibly heard him in, I'm about to butcher the name of this show very badly. It's just as a background character in Aoi Sakai no Chushinde. Wow.
The fuck is that?
I don't
I'll take your word for it.
I don't fucking know. When I was... More insight time. So, when I was talking with Cliff earlier today, and the conversation of casting came up, he actually let me know, like, his thought process with the casting, what he wanted to do, and pulling all these actors in. When it came to Adam Rowe, because I wanted to ask this question, he basically answered it before I even asked it. So, Cliff and Adam have actually known each other since Cliff was 11 years old.
Wow.
When he was born and raised in Connecticut. So, he knew Adam had a background in theater, and he had him audition. He had a few other people obviously audition for the role too. But for what he was looking for with Graville, he obviously felt that Adam was the best fit. Ironically enough, he managed to get him, Brittany, who was still in New York at the time, and one other person who was still in New York at the time, and we're going to get to him in a few minutes. He managed to get all of them to fly down around the same time so they can all record their lines around the same time. And personally, I'm going to say this, because Cliff mentioned this to me too. I really hope I get to hear the chance to hear Adam in more things, because he may or may not be moving down to Dallas in the near future.
Hey, get it? Is he hot?
Good on you. God damn it.
What?
That's the first question every time Gigi's introduced a new boy. Is he hot? Yay or
What?
nay?
You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. And, Cliff, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know he's your friend, and this question came out of nowhere. Anyway, so now that we have a bit more background as to who Adam Rowe is, let's talk about the performance of Grayville. Who would like to go first?
Me.
I will volunteer for... Okay, never mind.
Me. I like to call this guy Blonde Space Dandy or a missed opportunity for Ian Sinclair. No, I'm just kidding. I actually really like this performance.
Yes.
After I got off my salt train, which happened fairly early, like probably around episode 2, which is usually not how long I sit on my salt train for.
That is impressive, actually.
I know, right? I've never heard of this dude, but he did a really great job for a character that's very conflicted. And I did feel that it kind of could have been more over the top, especially in some of the parts where he's like talking and explaining like the mysteries or whatever to the public and whatnot. Like I felt maybe that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. It could have gone even bigger. But for somebody who has basically done nothing, I thought this dude did a really fantastic job. I was very, very happy for him. Welcome to the club. Welcome to Dub Talk. I did think that parts of it were sort of dry, but I think that's also part of the character too. Like this was mostly like the inner monologue thoughts. But yeah, welcome to Dub Talk, new kid. Hi, I'm Gigi. Sorry if I scare you. That happens a lot.
Be careful. She might eventually put you in her reverse harem.
You could go there.
Oh,
it's a nice place.
I would say
don't
she
know.
doesn't bite, but after tonight, that's sort of in question. Anyways.
Oh my god.
So Adam Rowe, this is an interesting one. I'll say this. When he's trying to be ham and he's trying to be eccentric, I think he works perfectly, and he works really well in the goofy moments when he's trying to be this sort of like dopey kind of know-it-all. Like I love him every time he's in a comedic scene, like straight up the shit where it's like, I came as fast as I can, I couldn't put my hair up, I had to put sugar water in it, now there's bugs everywhere.
That was great. I love that.
was
Also,
a good scene.
Gigi, I'm impressed you went that whole section without talking about how hot he is without his hair.
I was just about to say that. He has the hashtag Hisoka effect. Thank you, Shanna, for giving me that hashtag. Hotter when the hair is flat.
Okay, anyways, I'll say this though. I have a lot of trouble with him in some of the dramatic stuff, especially in the heavier stuff near the end. That's where it's like, I know he's a stage actor, so it's very clear that enunciating and going big is definitely like a desirable asset for that, but I don't think he did a good job in regards to being subtle or like, I guess, more sincere when it came to the heavier stuff, like in the show, be it like some of the earlier flashbacks and especially near the end of the series. It took me out of it a little bit, but even then, I also just had problems with the character in general, because he became a daddy yes man near the end, and it's like, I'm going to help out with the weird occult shit going on, and I'm thinking about it, it's like, this kid probably had a fucked up childhood. Like, I'm thinking about how he didn't get with Jacqueline. I know exactly how that conversation must have gone. Dad, how do you get a girl to like you? Have you tried kidnapping her?
Oh my god.
Biting her ear, obviously.
Okay, I can see how the conversation of romance probably didn't work out well for him, because, yeah. Anyways, Adam Rowe, I think he's really good when he's being bombastic and eccentric. I think he does have a couple of good dramatic beats, but there's more misses for me in that regard than hits. Jet?
Okay, alright. So far as Adam Rowe goes. Alright, I'm pretty cool with just about every performance in this stuff, but I gotta say, this is the one I kinda gotta nitpick.
Ooh, okay.
So, When I look at this character, and I see his gigantic pompadour, my brain is automatically set to expect him. I did not get him. Instead, he sounds somewhere between a natural performance and stage theater. And while he didn't lean toward the latter enough to sound as over the top as I wanted, I will say that his actual delivery is perfectly fine. He was totally believable in every scene he was in, and I certainly wouldn't call it a bad performance. I just kind of wanted to see a little more oomph, if that makes any kind of sense, I guess. But anyway, that was kind of like the 1 weak link for me in this dub.
You wanted him to double and triple down on eccentricity.
Andrew, since you are also a fellow theater buff, I have an interesting question for you.
Yes?
When watching Adam Rowe's performance, could you tell that it was very theatrical or not?
I could definitely tell
Yep.
he was going for something with that. Like, I've done theater and I've done the delivery stuff. I could tell it was very similar to that. I'm not saying that he did a bad... I'm not going to say he did a bad job at acting.
No, I'm just asking if you could tell.
Oh, I could absolutely tell
Okay.
that it was very clear that like a lot of his knowledge in the booth was very reminiscent of knowing that he was a stage actor alongside Cliff definitely adds a lot of clear context to the situation.
Don't throw Cliff into that because he's never been on stage before and he will tell you that himself.
Really? Oh, okay.
If you watched one of the Yon of the Dawn commentaries, he will tell you that himself.
That is interesting.
It is interesting. He's never done stage before. Adam Rowe, like, even before I spoke to Cliff today about this, and he told me that he had done some theater, I knew that he must have had some theater background, because you can tell with, like, the very open dramatics going on here, like, very, what's the right way of saying this?
It's ham.
It's not ham. It's like...
Hang on, he has a certain je ne sais quoi.
Yes, in a sense. Like, he's playing the character up a bit. And, Cliff had mentioned that what he was intending was he wanted to have someone who has a deeper tone, but it also has, like, an air of youth and immaturity. And again, he did audition quite a few other people, but Adam was the one who ended up having the thing that he was closest looking for. And in that regard, I definitely see what Cliff was thinking, where he was going with it, and it definitely comes across. I think the only issue I have is he's still a fresh voice and a fresh face in this industry. The potential is there, and I even mentioned this, I told this to Cliff too, because Cliff sees potential in him. I definitely see potential in him for him to grow. It's not it's not the worst thing in the world. I did enjoy it for what it is. But starting out as a new actor, at least in voiceover work like this, it was a little bit rough at times, but I did get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and especially when it came to Greyveil's character growth, and again, like I was saying before, him actually himself acknowledging Victorique rather than just ignoring her. And I know I already forgot who was saying this earlier about him turning out to be, again, daddy's little boy in a sense, towards the end, but you can still see those twinges of guilt from him, like with the way that Victorique gets treated while she is in her dad's possession. You can still see that, and I enjoyed that character progression.
I think I just would have liked the scene of him just telling Dad to fuck off.
That
would
have been the best thing ever, honestly. Amazing.
But you know, murder happens.
Murder happens.
But anyways, I have a perfect way to sum up Adam Rowe.
Okay.
I would describe his performance as a makeshift pompadour. It is a very entertaining spectacle to behold, but the closer you look into it, the further the knots start to show themselves.
That's fair, I would say. But yeah, if Adam does end up moving down to Dallas or Dallas or even Houston, and he ends up going to Sentai, which I doubt it. He would probably go to Dallas. I really hope he ends up in more things.
Man, I really want to see Cliff do stage stuff now, because that'd be awesome.
No, seriously, I do too.
Could you imagine like Bakugo during Hamlet or something?
Man, if I could hear him doing Bakugo voice doing like Hamilton verses, my day is made.
Cliff, let's go right now. Start as Bakugo. Let's go with some Hamilton now.
Call us on our bluff, Clifford. Call us on our bluff. Anyway, we should move on.
I just want to say really quickly that like our reactions to Adam Rose's performance are like completely different. But now that you say that he was looking for something kind of like an innocence in this character, I don't think that my Salt Train could have done it that way. Also, shout out to Ian Sinclair for having one line and playing like some blonde dude in this. But I understand that more now and his thought process behind it. Because if you want to put some kind of innocence towards this kid, which I don't really see this character as innocent, but hey.
No, not innocence, not the right word. Immaturity is the right word.
Immaturity.
Immature.
There
would
you
be
go.
The word,
yeah,
yes.
because Ian Sinclair, he all man. So.
Of course, he's all man.
Girl. No, I'm just playing.
Boy.
No, I did think he did a good job for one of his first times up. I mean, nobody's gonna have like a perfect first time in the booth, you know? Your first time is not that great. So I think his was better than most.
It's fair, yeah. Again, personally, I see a lot of potential for Adam here, and again, if the man moves down to Dallas, I really hope he gets to do more stuff, and I'm so excited.
For now, we shall see.
Get it, dude.
Get it, dude. Let's move on to our main characters. Our male lead, we have Kazuya Kujo. He is the transfer student from Japan who's attending St. Margaret Academy. He's the third son of an Imperial Japanese soldier, which, by the way, shout out to Megan Shipman and Clifford Chapin for playing Kujo's siblings.
Why is one of those really funny, Stephanie?
So, Kazuya Kujo transfers and starts going to school at St. Margaret Academy. He, one day, he's delivering these books to the library at Cecil's request, and he discovers a conservatory at the top of the library where he meets Victor Reek. And essentially, he gets wrapped up in all these mysteries and all the shenanigans throughout the course of the show. The reason why Andrew wanted to pull a funny, not so funny segue on me. Kazuya Kujo is voiced by Matt Shipman, who has been in series such as Classroom of the Elite, My Wife, the Student Council President, and I could not believe this, and I had to write this down, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, legit!
Okay, yeah, I actually didn't know that Arc V one. That was the one I actually kind of remembered.
I didn't know that. Legit, I didn't know that. I'm like, you lying to me. He's in like a new Yu-Gi-Oh! So I think Matt Shipman is probably one of the other interesting voices to come in here, because originally he was based in New York. He actually has moved, similar to Brittany Lotta, he actually moved down to Dallas as well now. So who wants to start with their thoughts on Mr. Matt Shipman as Kazuya Kujo?
So this was my first time ever really hearing Matt Shipman in anything, considering I avoided the dub to Arc V like the plague after sitting through one episode in like really weird accents. But he gave me a really strong first impression here. He was really great at portraying Kujo as like a perpetual butt monkey without making him sound too floppy. And when it came down to all like the serious moments, he handled those just as well. And he felt like a perfect match for the character. I also really like Kujo a lot as a character, since at first it kind of seemed like he'd be, like the typical light novel lead and just kind of be like a self-insert for all the dudes. But his whole inferiority complex regarding his family situation really did a lot to give him some extra depth. And it made his whole, like, attraction to Victorique more understandable because they're both kind of loners, and she has that, like, strong sense of will that he sort of lacks in the beginning. So anyway, I really dug his arc throughout the show, and I'm glad Matt Shipman was able to play that so believably. So all in all, I got nothing to really complain about here, and his work here has totally made me a fan of his, so I'm really hoping this won't be the last I hear of him.
Gigi, how about
Okay.
you?
Well, I know a lot of people say that Victorique is the central main key to this anime, and I have to disagree because after watching the whole show, Cujo, played by Matt Shipman, is truly the key to this anime. He could have just been, the foil to Victorique and, just trail her around like a lost puppy. But I think he carries the show. Like, without him, it wouldn't have made as much impact for me. His performance was really great here. He almost made me cry. All the emotion in him, especially in that last episode, where I thought he was dead, and then I shouldn't have watched past the end credits because I thought it would have ended better if he did end up dead. Yeah, I actually felt that he was in love with Victorique. Like, I felt that from him, and I've never heard him do much of anything. So, Matt Shipman, welcome to Dub Talk. Again, my name is Gigi. Thank you for carrying this show, and
All right.
don't get scared.
So this one might be an interesting controversial thought.
Uh-oh.
I did not like this ... at first.
Okay.
Okay.
So, there was something about the delivery of this particular character where it's like, I'm not sure I expected something lighter, but it seemed very stilted or uneven delivery throughout, like, the start of the series. I think that he eventually picks up steam and gets into the flow of things, but I think at the start, it definitely feels a little rough and stilted. Mm-hmm. Like, that's something that bugged me a little bit in the beginning, but I do eventually think once he gets a little more into the flow, the chemistry and the actual characterization works out. I do enjoy this particular character, actually. He does have a lot going for him. Though, yeah. Matt Shipman, just keeping on Matt Shipman for a second. He grew into it, and it did grow on me. I really didn't like it at first, and that was bugging me for a bit of a dub, but he grew into it. I was surprised, and I enjoyed it. Now, a little thing about the character in the story that I'll make brief. I am of the personal opinion, not that he should have died, but there should have been some sort of, like, consequence or something from the war, because there is straight up
yes.
Because I talked about this step earlier. There is straight up a scene in that final episode where he's like nearing death's door, and he dreams and he has no legs.
Why was he not paralyzed?
Exactly. That's something where it's like, I thought about it, and it's like, at the very least, I assumed that meant he, at the very least, lost his legs, or he, like, got prosthetics or something. Straight up, several problems I would have had was if he was in a wheelchair, on crutches, or he straight up had Lieutenant Dan prosthetics.
I mean, at the very least, when we see him again, his legs are bandaged up.
That
doesn't
mean anything.
I know. Here's my thing I'm gonna argue against for that real quickly. You at least know. Obviously, it's like a metaphor or symbolism coming into play here, of course. But just before he goes into this dream, you do see that Cujo is stuck under a shit ton of rubble. So, obviously, that means what I'm getting from it is he can't move his legs. He can move the upper part of his body in his dream. Because you know how when you dream or when you sleep, obviously you move around like nuts. But he can't move his legs in the real world, so it kind of carries into his dream world, and he's like freaking the hell out. I can agree that how it was executed though was a bit weird. for the show.
Let me counteract your point of symbolism and say, you know what would have been even more effective? How about the symbolic image of him suddenly being the same height as Victorique and seeing literally eye to eye to her?
See, that would have been good.
How about the actual symbol of the fact that he's been taking care of this little spoiled little girl this entire time, and basically realizing that for the rest of his life, now that they are together, she is the one who will have to care and provide for him, really coming around and going full circle. No. That would have been interesting to me. That's eventful.
What I'm just saying, I understand what the show was going for. It's just it could have been executed better. That's the point I'm going.
I wanted a scar from war. Like, she lost her blonde hair. He should have lost, like, a leg or something. That's what I think.
You just have to keep telling yourself that this is the time in the anime where it started being a steaming pile of trash.
Well,
so in Trashland, nothing fucking makes sense.
Anyway.
I did like that ending, though. Anyway.
I didn't like the ending at all.
My heart, that ending. Okay, can I talk about my thoughts real quick there?
Yes.
You can talk about your thoughts. I said my points.
All right. We need to speed this up a little bit. So... I also can agree with Andrew to an extent. For Matt Shipman, it was kind of rough to begin with, because this is pretty much my first outing with hearing Matt Shipman in anything. So obviously, this is going to be interesting to do for me. Going into it, it was a little bit rough to start with, but he definitely grew into the character as the show went on. But the funniest thing is, I think, and I think I had this conversation with you, Jet, originally. You want to know what Matt Shipman reminds me of? I said it was a mix of Josh Greeley and Anthony Bowling. The Anthony Bowling part really only with the loud yelling and screaming part. And then
I can definitely see Josh Greeley.
I can hear it. I'm thinking about it now, and literally every time he's whiny and be like, Victorique! It sounds just like Josh now that I think about it.
Oh my god, it's like Yuri on Ice.
You hear it now. You hear it now, it won't get out of your head.
Victor, Victorique, Victor, Victorique.
God damn.
Boy, that is an alternate universe scenario that I don't even know where to begin with that.
Anyway.
I'm not gonna ship it.
Okay.
But anyway, I did enjoy Matt Shipman as Cujo, despite the rough start. It definitely came into its own by the end, and I really enjoyed it. So, we got one more character to go.
All right, let's do this.
Please stop yawning. Anyway.
I didn't anticipate fire.
Blame the fire alarm. Anyway, so we have to go with our main female protagonist, Victorique de Blua. She, of course, is our pint-sized gothic Lolita detective, who has the... I never could quite understand what was so special about the Grey Wolves, really. Probably...
They smart, and they smart.
They're blonde.
They're smart and blonde.
They're smart, but they couldn't figure out the fact that the sketchy-ass maid was the murderer all along for like 20 years.
I don't know.
Oops.
But, anyway, yeah. She gets called upon several times to solve these mini mysteries. She ends up being pulled in by her father for this very big plot. And for, like, fighting for power, all this political bullshit. When I saw the casting for Victorique, I kind of had a what moment? Because I did not know this could be a thing. But then as this year progressed, though, I knew that this person could probably pull some shit off. So as Victorique de Blua, we have Miss Afia Yu, who has been in series such as Tsuki Gakure, Reija Bahamut, and Assassination Classroom. Now, I think this might be the most interesting discussion of them all. Who wants to go first?
I want to go home.
Jet, how do you feel about Afia's Victorique?
Okay, so Afia Yu has a pretty solid history of playing snarky, deadpan girls, and she's always been pretty good at those, so when I saw her casting here, I actually figured she'd do a pretty good job. Okay, I mean, I'll admit at first I kind of thought she sounded a little too old for Victorique, but she got into character almost immediately, and I thought it was a really fantastic performance. She got the bratty attitude down to a T, without making her sound overbearing, and she was really great when it came to like all of the deadpan delivery with some of the humor. Good as she was with all the snarky stuff, though, what really won me over is how well she handled some of the emotional stuff, since this was the first time I'd ever really heard her in like a really dramatic role. So she was really great, all that stuff. I really liked the way the show built up Victor Reek's relationship with Cujo and how he kind of gets her to open up and care about like other people and then herself a little bit more. And Alfie, you got across every aspect of that arc like pretty much perfectly. And when it came to her like delivery of Victory's breakdown at the end of episode 2, like that, man, like that like really hit me in the gut. That was like perfect.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that.
My heart. My heart.
Okay, I mean, and like I've always liked what I've heard of AFAU up until now, but okay, but this has really impressed me, and it was the performance that kind of turned her from like before I kind of thought, she's pretty good, and then I saw her in this, and I'm like, okay, like she's actually like really great. So I thought this was like the finest work I've seen from her, and this turned out to be one of my favorite performances from this entire year.
Wow, nice. Sir,
You know what?
Sir, you should
Yeah.
listen. You should watch Suki Gakure. You need to fix that because Afia is the female lead in that show, and she is phenomenal. And,
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I'll just dive into my thoughts at this point because similar to how I felt about her performance as Akane and Suki Gakure, is very similar to how I feel about her performance here as Victor Reek. She absolutely nailed those emotional bits. Like, my heart was aching for her. I was like, oh no, sweetie, I'm sorry your dad's a huge asshole. But it was basically, Victor Reek is like a culmination, in a sense, of a lot of the typical characters that we've seen her voice. From the snarky ones to the very innocent and emotional ones to slight trolls, if we're talking Ryo Nakamura here from Assassination Classroom. It's like a combination of all of these other kinds of characters that she has voiced in the past. Or at least, or in the future if we're talking Sukiyakure. And it says a lot when you can pull in so many different emotions, so many different personalities, and different character traits into a single character. Because let's face it, Victor Reek is a tsundere to the core.
Yes.
And to pull this off, and to pull it off rather well, I loved it. I enjoyed it. If you would, before I saw things like Sukiyakure or any of the other things she's been involved with this year, if I hadn't watched any of those shows before getting into Gosick, because back in February when this announcement came up, I was like, wait, what? I had one of those moments. I'm like, wait, what? Why? What? I don't know about this. I don't know how to feel about this. And then I saw a couple of the shows where she really got to dive in with her range. And now going into Gosick, I'm thinking to myself, okay, now I'm very curious. Now I really want to see what she can do with what she did with this character. And I thought it was wonderful. The one gripe I have with this performance is
I know what's coming.
is the singing. I'm not insulting Afia's singing voice at all. The reason why I have a huge gripe with it is, because I mean, I took singing lessons before. Come on now. I have a thing when it comes to pitch. And if it's like a song where it's like, if it's a song and the pitch is like all over the place, I'm like, oh my god. Oh, why? I understand the reasoning and the point behind that choice. I get that. But me and my ears are like,
Okay. I was gonna ask if you
"Eh."
thought that was intentional, that she was
I feel like it
singing.
was intentional.
Yeah, it had to be
It
intentional.
had to have been intentional. I feel like it was definitely intentional. It was a choice to do that with Afia's character.
It just annoyed you.
It was just like, why is this girl not in pitch? My brain. Why? It was one of those things where it really bugged me, but not for like downright hating it. It's just me.
Got it.
It's just me with some of my backgrounds in both theater and in music. I'm like, why? But
All right.
anyway.
I'll keep it brief since I think both you and Jet summed up my thoughts pretty nicely for the most part. Like, I had seen the show sub before, and she's played by like the iconic Aliyuki, so it's like she had a lot to really work with. I've seen like all the sides. You got the comedic side, you got the bratty side, you got the stoic detective, and you got the really strong emotional beats. And honestly, I knew Afia was good, but I was genuinely surprised that she nailed every single thing I was expecting and then some. And I was actually pretty impressed. Like, there's a lot to say on this character's side, whether you think it is a good character or she is justified about being bratty or not. That's one thing. And she did kind of annoy me at times, and even I, as a fan of that archetype, was like, okay, girl, come the fuck on. Like, now, like, people are actually trying to help you or get you out of your shit. Stop kicking people in the shin. Come the fuck on. But no, I think Avi is fucking fantastic as Victorique, and I was genuinely impressed.
Okay, Gigi,
Why do you
how
guys
do you feel?
why do you guys make me be the bad end?
Gigi, we weren't doing it intentionally, to be
No.
honest. I'm just genuinely curious because I really want to hear your side.
All right. So the main reason I wanted to do this show was because I love goth lolly character designs, and this design of Victorique is basically a carbon copy with different eyes of Shinku from Rosen Maiden, which is like one of my nostalgia boner anime. And Shinku from Rosen Maiden, if you've never seen it, is a doll. She is a legitimate doll who comes to life in Victorian era clothes. She has the bonnet and everything. In fact, the red outfit is almost exactly the same outfit that Shinku wears in Rosen Maiden. That being said, I didn't like the dub for Rosen Maiden because I think that these characters need to sound either one of two ways. Like a little child, or very regal, snooty, nose up in the air. And with this, I got a bratty tsundere. Now, I understand that that is the nature of this character, and I did watch some of the Japanese, and the tone of voice between Japanese Victorique and Afia is pretty much exactly the same. So I understand where this casting could come into play. But like I said with Lucian Dodge, there are some voice actors whose voices I cannot, just the things, it hurts me. It hurts me physically to listen to them. And I feel so terrible saying that because this performance really, besides Matt Shipman, had to carry the entire show. And I was like, in the first episode, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I literally typed in the chat, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Now,
okay.
Now, I'm like physically hurting, like panic attack inducing. Do I want to even be on this episode? Because I feel so bad. Like, the guilt pit in my stomach is awful because I just didn't like Victorique's voice. I don't want to hear a bratty tsundere. I mean, I'm not a big fan of tsunderes in general, but I don't want to hear one again. Now, on the whole and on the regular, her acting was super on point. I thought she got all the sarcastic beats down, all the dry beats down, all the emotional stuff down. But when it came down to it, I couldn't. And I'm so sorry. Like,
I completely understand what you're saying. It's that you actually think that she does a good job. It's just you genuinely have a problem. It wasn't a voice that you liked, and it wasn't a character archetype you liked either.
Yes, and the thing is that they say it in one of the later episodes, she's a 15-year-old girl, but she looks like a 10-year-old boy. And
Right.
that's where it kind of clicked, but it was really sad that it clicked in the very last episode, that I was
you're right
like,
about that.
oh God, that's what it's been the entire time. And all the roles that I've heard Afia in have been little boys, or the one role in Selector Infected that was, I don't even want to go into it. But I just, and I feel really like genuinely bad about this, but, and it's the character, and it's the fact that I feel
it's
bad.
totally okay, Gigi. Like, it's just, One is that you genuinely did not like the character, and believe me, I completely understand that. Like, I like this archetype, and even I had a couple of moments in this rewatch where I'm like, okay, girl, chill the fuck out. But it also just is a matter of the voice just didn't do it for you, and what it being like subjective aside, you're acknowledging that like she does a good job. It just didn't do it for you, and that's totally okay.
She does a very. This is the best I've ever heard her act in anything. I just. It
just kind of turned into a perfect storm of the voice just didn't seem to the voice itself just didn't seem to fit, but also it's a character type you don't really like very well. It's kind of a mix of. I think it just seems like a couple of factors that it seems like it turns into a perfect storm.
I wanted Victorique to be a snooty French girl, and she was a snotty tsundere boy. I'm truly, I don't mean this with disrespect for anyone involved.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. No.
I had a hell of a time getting through this show, and I even switched to the Japanese wasn't any better because it had the same damn tone of voice in it, and I was like, can we go to final thoughts?
Yes.
I feel legitimately awful.
There's nothing wrong with you. You're thinking that. It's just in general, it didn't click with you. You're acknowledging that it's good. It's just it didn't click with you, and that's totally a-okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
you're fine, Gigi, sweetie. We love you.
We love you. It's okay.
Look, people from Funimation, please don't kill me. Like,
They're
I'm legitimately upset about this.
There's this thing called constructive criticism. That's what you're doing right now. Stop it.
I said some shit on Danganronpa, okay? I'm still alive.
Yeah, he has said some shit. Anyway, we're going into final thoughts now. Final thoughts on the dub of Gosick. Who would like to go first? Because we need to wrap this shit up. It's almost midnight. Jet needs to sleep. Gigi needs to sleep. Let's go.
Alright, I'll try and make this quick. Dub itself, very ambitious, interesting, unique amalgamation of a lot of different like coasts of actors and talent. I'm kind of impressed with the way it worked and collaborated. Whether some things works, whether some things didn't, is like, we complain about things being too safe and whatnot. This was very different and unique and not safe, and I'm kind of impressed at the decisions made, and I respect Clifford completely for making this happen. As for the show itself, rewatching it again, I became a little clear about what I think. I hold a soft spot in my heart as, like, one of the first shows I ever watched on streaming, but definitely watching it again, it is definitely a weird show that isn't as great as I thought it was, though I realize some of the mysteries are good, some of the characters are entertaining, and I do enjoy the dynamic between Cujo and Victorique, but there's a couple of mysteries that are kind of weak, and goddamn does it become a trash fire, completely different show in the end, and I'm still pissed off that, like, he's not, like, crippled or anything like that. It feels like there's symbolism that's just missing. I'm glad I revisited this show to talk about it again. It was really interesting to kind of get my thoughts on this, but yeah, show aside, is a very interesting, different dub that we don't usually get to talk about some of these characters in the Funimation show, and I'm really glad we got to cover this. This was really interesting.
Okay, Jet, how do you feel about the final thoughts of the show?
I thought this was a pretty solid dub. Like, again, I've been pretty happy with Clifford Chapin's track record, so I figured he would deliver, but this just went, like, above and beyond what I was expecting. And it really impressed me on most fronts. I mean, I have a couple of nitpicks, but overall I was pretty happy with the casting choices and the script. And then as far as the show goes, like, it definitely hasn't aged as well as I would have liked it to. Like, the last fourth of the show gets, like, pretty off the rails. I mean, but all in all, I'm, like, so fond of it. I still think it's a pretty interesting story. I still like the whole dynamic between Cujo and Victorique, so I still recommend it if you're curious. It's definitely worth your while.
Gigi, what are your final thoughts on the dub and the show?
I didn't like this show. Like, and I feel bad saying this, but you know how I say, like, I don't like the show, but the dub saved it. And I'm legitimately crying right now. Like, I feel so bad.
Oh my god.
It's okay.
Sweetie, it's totally cool.
I feel bad that I can't say the dub saved this show from the trash pile because the mysteries were super easy to solve. Like the goth lolly stuff wasn't as fashion forward as it could have been. I do like all the performances. I think that if it would have had more consistent writing, maybe it would have either go period or don't go period. Like that was a huge deal thing for me. But I love all the chances and I love all the care that was put into this, and I feel so bad because everybody in this seemed like they put their heart and souls into this, and I don't want to like make everybody think, oh my god, she's such a rank bitch because she doesn't like the show or anything. But I just,
Gigi, you're allowed to criticize and not like the show or the performances. That's what we do. I know we talk about how much like we enjoy Cliff and whatnot. If we got problems with a show of his or a decision he made, I don't want to sugarcoat that shit. If I'm going to say this didn't work, I'm going to say this didn't work. And that's what I want to separate. I don't want to make it seem like we only like or dislike the show because we're all buddy-buddy and we think he's a cool guy. No. I'm going to say shit if I think shit doesn't work. Simple as that. And I think that it's totally cool and respectable and bold that you are saying things didn't work for you, and that's totally fucking fine.
I liked 75% of it.
That's
Yay!
fine.
That's a majority! So, right away, I'm biased because, mystery horror is my jam. But I agree that this show does have flaws. It's not the best thing in the world. But, with the dub, I enjoyed it for what it is. There were some things that were very rough in the beginning, but going into it and going further into the show, you can definitely tell that people were growing into these characters and really developing them. And like Jet and Andrew were saying, I really loved that there was a lot of tender love and care put into the show, a lot of thought put in the show. Because, and again, I was talking to Cliff about this earlier, he knew how much of a big deal this show was. He flat out knew he wanted to give it a really good dub, something very different, something unique. And in that regard, I think he pulled it off very well. He cast that wide net. He brought in a lot of actors all over the place, including his childhood friend over here. And despite some flaws, because there are flaws in the show, there are some flaws with the dub, I fully enjoyed it. It's not going to be for everyone. Obviously, it's not going to be for everyone, because everybody's tastes are different. Everybody has their own shows that they enjoy and things that they don't. But me personally, I enjoyed it. I enjoy the show for what it is. I very much enjoy the dub, and it's definitely one of the more strong, solid home video releases that I've seen this year. And to see this basically be what was worked on and recorded before 2017 started, and all these other fun and awesome dubs that Cliff has been working on come out, I'm just...
Let that man sleep.
I'm very...
Yeah, go to sleep.
I'm very impressed. And I know some of us have planned another thing going on very soon for another...
Maybe, possibly, sort of.
Well,
stay tuned.
Well, film, I should say. Coming up in the near future. And I know he's going to pester me about that, too.
All right, I forgot about that, too.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't even know what you're referring to, and don't tell me, because I feel like it's fall-related.
Anyways.
I really enjoyed the show and the dub. It's it's a lot of fun. A lot of time and effort was put into this, and I really have to commend both the production staff and the cast on this. I enjoyed it, despite how rough it was in the beginning. If you are interested in seeing the English dub for Gosick, it is currently streaming on Funimation now. That is one option to see it, though hopefully at the time that this episode goes up, the problem Gigi ran into of the last episode being missing will have been fixed.
I think the episode was there. It's just when I watched it on the app, it didn't autoplay. I just had to select it.
No,
It's still
it wouldn't.
there.
It wouldn't let me even select it. Like it was 23 episodes.
I think that's just
Weird.
technical difficulties with the site.
Maybe.
We'll worry about that
Hopefully
later.
that last episode will be up by then. Obviously, another way you can have the series, you can actually own it for yourself. Both halves of the show were released on DVD and Blu-ray, with the second half having been released at the end of September, which is why we're recording this now and not before that.
We wanted a full review.
We wanted to really cover the show in its entirety, so we really wanted to hold off and wait until both halves are out. And I cannot speak for Verve. I don't know if it is streaming on Verve.
It might be.
It might be.
We'll check.
It might
I
not
don't have
be.
that.
We'll check back with you later on that.
Yes.
And add an annotation.
And in terms of the Japanese, I actually don't know. Did it actually go back on
It's-
Crunchyroll?
No, it didn't
don't
because
think
I
it
looked
is.
for it.
Okay.
It's not there.
So previously,
You can't watch the Japanese streaming.
Okay, so
Currently, yes. I don't.
So-
Maybe it'll be added later, but at the time of this recording, it is not there.
aha. So not the Japanese at all. The Japanese is not on Funimation.
No, it's English only.
Aha, I see. So probably in the near future they'll add Gosick back to the Crunchyroll library, if I had to guess then, if that's the case. So on that note, thank you very much for joining us. Good lord, so many things happened today.
I'm not even gonna plug myself. I'm tired.
Good, because I'm plugging everyone, you jackass. So if you're interested in anything that we
That's
do,
hot.
I'm fucking quit. I'm fucking done. I'm going to bed. No. If you're interested in anything that the four of us do, you can follow Jet on Twitter. I was about to say YouTube. That's wrong. Jet on Twitter at Divine Nega. He's also he also has his own blog, animationinfinity.com, as well as you might see his reviews on the fandom posts. Gigi, she is on Twitter at AnimePalooza. She also has her YouTube channel, AnimePalooza, where she does a bunch of unboxings, talks shoujo trash on a daily basis, and what have you. Andrew on Twitter, you can follow him at MangaMan9000. I don't know if you do anything else in your spare time, aside from playing Danganronpa on a constant basis.
I finished it last week. Thank you very much, and I watched this in 2 days. You're welcome.
I'm watching a Let's Play of it, okay? And it's not done yet. And as for me, you can follow me on Twitter at Lilac Anime Review, with review being spelled like a musical review, not a standard review. And if you want to see any more shenanigans from Dub Talk in general, you can of course, the easiest way to do that would be subscribing here to our YouTube channel, where we put up videos every week, sometimes twice a week, depending on what's going on. We also have a Twitter at Dub Talk Podcast. We have an Instagram, Dub Talk Podcast, and Tumblr, Dub Talk Podcast. Everything is Dub Talk Podcast. Now, because Jet really wants to go to bed.
Also, this is technically still a 3-hour recording at this point, even with fires and stuff.
Yes, pretty much.
And I just want to say real quick before we go, because I don't remember if I said this or not.
What's up?
As the show progressed, I did get more and more used to Victory talking. Like
Okay.
Okay, you did not say that, yeah.
Yeah, as it progressed on, and especially towards the end, I did like it little bits and pieces more. But
Yay.
like I said, I that's all.
Your point still stands. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took a minute. I can understand that.
Sorry, I was sobbing.
It's okay. We got this. As for anything upcoming, I have no idea, because at this point, this is probably going up the beginning of November. Oh my god, if this goes up on or close to my birthday, I'm going to be very excited and very weirded out.
Happy
Stay
birthday,
tuned.
Steph.
Stay tuned.
Shit.
Fall's around the corner. Enjoy it.
Fall is around the corner. At the time of recording this episode, we have the survey going up. By the time the episode goes up, the survey will be closed, and you will probably find out by now what we're going to be covering. Dear God, is it going to be interesting? Because I'm
Probably gonna be like 6 or 7 shows. It sounds
probably.
like.
And right now, I'm really the only one who knows what's going on with the survey. Because I haven't really
Oh,
told
you
anyone.
And she's a
sneaky
fucking
little
tease.
Shit. She's such a tease.
and,
She holds all the fragments of chaos that keeps us well under check.
and on a final note, as well, thank you to Mr. Clifford Chapin for giving us a little bit of insight on the show as well. You are a very awesome person. Now go back to sleep. Go to sleep.
Thanks, Dad.
Go
We
the fuck
promised-
to sleep.
We were actually not paid to do this. This was
No.
straight up like a favor. Like we
Favor.
all said and done.
Favor. I got pestered for months about this.
Well, we
Okay,
knew we
well,
were gonna do it.
We
You're
did
just
it
the one who
willingly.
got the brunt of the pestering.
Yes. And
Which is good
Yes.
because you're the leader of us. So I'm glad you had to deal with all of Cliff's own fragments of chaos.
yay! I wonder what he's gonna pester me about now. Woo! Anyway.
I hope it's the sister show because I'm gonna fucking laugh if it is.
No, legit though, Cliff. I don't care if you pester me about things. It's always fun talking to you. And I should have said this earlier. If you want to ever hang out with us and do an interview or anything like that, you are more than welcome to. You just let me know and we'll get that set up. Just saying.
Please
Okay.
come play with us.
We
Come
are.
play
We're
with
done.
us.
We're done. We're going to bed. Jed is tired. He is quiet in a corner. He's done. Everyone needs to sleep. We're going to sleep. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night. And as always, otaku on, my friends.
沈みゆく空に